The young man decides to head home first, but his friends linger, discussing their future careers. The girl watches them curiously, then calls out, "Senpai." Her voice carries a hint of surprise and anticipation. The girl exclaims, "Senpai," with excitement as she approaches the young man. He looks at her with a slight smile, acknowledging, "It's kind of been a while." The girl seems relieved, asking, "Senpai, are you worried about something?" The word senpai echoes, capturing the essence of their reconnection. The scene is filled with the warmth of their renewed bond and the promise of shared experiences ahead. The young man wonders aloud about Senpai's test scores, his eyes wide with curiosity. Meanwhile, the girl, Hitsuba Kade, sits in the back, her mind wandering to thoughts of repeating a year. The tension in the air is palpable as the young man's friend asks him about his own. Papers fly as the young man slams them down, revealing scores of 90% or higher in all subjects. His face is a mix of shock and disbelief, questioning if Senpai was always this smart. Kade looks on, her expression a mix of pride and determination. The young man is stunned to learn that Senpai aims to become a teacher, his eyes locking onto Kaede with a newfound respect. Kaede speaks passionately about her desire to help children suffering from bullying, just as she once did. Her resolve is clear. Kaede reflects on her own path, realizing that while she and Senpai share the same goal, their reasons are vastly different. She admits that becoming a teacher was always clear for her, but Senpai's genuine wish for the role is what truly matters. The girl reassures Hitotsuba Kazuhiro that his grades are nothing to scoff at, believing he will become a great teacher who understands students. Kazuhiro, however, feels unsuitable for teaching, citing others' opinions that he is weird. In an office, a student interrupts Shinichi, asking about his reason for becoming a teacher. Shinichi explains that his parents were teachers, and he was raised to follow in their footsteps. The student thanks him, seemingly satisfied with the answer. The student questions why Shinichi suddenly asked about his aspirations. Shinichi admits feeling doubtful about his path, despite diligently studying to become a teacher. He confesses uncertainty about his true desires and what he should do next. Faced with a confrontation, Shinichi decides he cannot run away. He musters the courage to face the person, determined not to back away. The girl, however, already knew about his resolve, silently acknowledging his strength. The young man bursts into the classroom, apologizing for his rudeness. He locks eyes with the girl, who stands calmly, unfazed by the sudden intrusion. The tension between them crackles as he realizes the gravity of his actions. Hitotsuba-san confronts Yuya-kun about sleeping alone, her expression a mix of concern and curiosity. Yuya-kun admits he finally confronted the problem, revealing Hitotsuba-san had just finished her bath. The scene shifts as Hitotsuba-san and Yuya-kun sit at opposite ends of the bed, debating the topic. The girl, fresh from her bath, looks radiant, and Yuya-kun struggles to maintain his composure. She teases him about the quality of the bed, while he worries about the Hitotsuba-san approaches Yuya-kun, her face beaming with happiness. Yuya-kun panics, thinking she suspects his intentions. She reassures him, understanding his discomfort. Suddenly, she slips, and Yuya-kun reacts. Hitotsuba Kade teases Yuya-kun, offering a playful hug and scent like a puppy. Yuya-kun's cheeks flush as he protests, but Kaede insists she can read his emotions just by looking at him. The tension builds as Yuya-kun questions if she's an Kaide's face flushes with embarrassment, her resolve wavering. She declares she won't give in to desire easily, her eyes glinting with determination. However, she admits she planned to fall asleep cuddling with Yuya-kun, her voice softening as she concedes. The girl taps her foot, insisting Yuya-kun must sleep in the same bed to avoid catching a cold. Kaide's face shifts through a range of emotions, hesitation, acceptance, and a final mischievous grin. She decides that sharing a bed is acceptable, her mind racing. Yuya-kun leans in, his breath causing Kaede to puff out her cheeks in surprise. She admits defeat, her voice resigned. As they prepare for bed, Yuya-kun vows to keep as much distance as possible, his words tinged with nervousness. Kaede agrees. Hitotsuba Kaede warns Yuya-kun about her habit of hugging in her sleep, threatening to throw him out of bed if necessary. Yuya-kun, in turn, reassures her that he is not a restless sleeper. The girl, however, cannot resist the playful. Hitotsuba-san quietly slips into bed, her presence barely disturbing the silence. Yuya-kun, however, finds sleep elusive, the nerves on edge. As Hitotsuba-san falls asleep with a gentle breath, Yuya-kun finally succumbs to exhaustion. The girl reflects on a conversation, pondering the boy's words about finding his own path. Suddenly, she notices him at the door, and her heart skips a beat. He admits to eavesdropping, his admission hanging in the air between them. Charged, the girl agrees to his request, her voice soft with concern. "Be safe," she murmurs as he steps away. The boy, walking down the street, resolves to listen and share his own feelings. Their silent pact hangs in the air, a promise of mutual understanding. The young man slams his hand on the desk, sending papers flying. "Do you know what you're doing for your career?" he shouts at Hoshi-kun, who recoils in shock. The girl watches in surprise as Hoshi-kun stammers, realizing the weight of his future decisions. The young man's eyes widen in disbelief. "The only members we have in our club are ghosts," he mutters, his voice trailing off. The girl beside him suggests options with the absent members, while another student offers encouragement. The young man's face contorts in panic. "I've already quit the biology club," he blurts out, shocking his classmates. His friend, trying to lighten the mood, suggests an animal exhibition instead. The young man, however, remains lost in his dilemma, unsure. The young man rushes to the biology club room, apologizing for being late. "I'll unlock the door right now," he says, turning to the girl who greets him with a sleepy "senpai." The atmosphere is tense as he struggles to find his place within the club. The young man leans forward, his expression tense and his eyes locked on an unseen target. His posture suggests a readiness to spring into action at any moment, the air thick with anticipation. The young man declares his intention to live with the most adorable high school girl in Japan, his voice steady and his gaze unwavering. The girl's eyes widen in surprise, her heart racing as she processes the unexpected declaration. The trio stands in silence, the weight of the moment. The girl says a heartfelt goodbye to Yuya, her voice tinged with sadness. Yuya's determination flares as he decides to go with her, his resolve solidifying with each step. The young man's declaration sends a shockwave through the scene, altering the course of their fates. The young man bolts upright in bed, gasping for breath as he wakes from a vivid dream. His hand reaches out, grasping at the lingering echoes of the nightmare. As he settles back down, he questions the reality of his dream, the tension slowly ebbing away. The young man stands by the window, muttering to himself. He wonders if his parents abandoned him, his voice filled with uncertainty. The room feels heavy with his thoughts. The young man sits on the floor, head in hands, overwhelmed by his emotions. Silence envelops the room, amplifying his inner turmoil. His body language speaks of deep distress and confusion. The girl approaches the young man with concern, her hands clasped together. She calls out softly, "Yuya-kun," and he gasps in surprise, his eyes widening. Their interaction hints at a complex relationship. The young man questions if he is imagining things, dismissing the idea that Hitetsuba-san would wake up. He recounts returning to the bedroom quietly, only to encounter an unexpected sight. The girl's expression suggests intrigue and amusement. Hitetsuba-san lies awake, puzzled by her position on the bed. She wonders if she tossed and turned during the night, ending up on the side where she was not. The girl decides it's futile to dwell on the mystery and resigns herself to the thought. The fresh scent of Hitetsuba-san's pillow envelops the young man as he buries his face in it. The lingering warmth soothes him, and he clings to the pillow, reluctant to let go of the comforting sensation. Closing his eyes, he allows himself to be enveloped by the tranquility. Senpai expresses her fears and worries about the future, feeling anxious and scared. The girl acknowledges the obviousness of Senpai's concerns and reassures her that everything will be fine. As they part ways, Senpai reflects on the possibility of not seeing. The young man decides to buy a drink from the convenience store to clear his mind. Inside, he encounters a cheerful girl who greets him warmly. Their eyes lock and a spark of recognition ignites between them, setting the stage for an unexpected encounter. The young man reflects on the stories he's heard about Kasuga-senpai, while the girl beside him feels a lingering awkwardness. She thanks him, hinting at a deeper connection influenced by Senpai's words. Suddenly, a passerby mistakes the young man for the girl's guardian. The girl confides in the young man about her friend's struggles with university applications and past bullying. Her friend fears not fitting in with new people, a worry that resonates deeply. The young man listens intently, his expression a mix of concern and determination to help. The girl questions why her friend, who convinced someone like her, now doubts herself. The young man wishes for her friend to have more confidence. Their conversation takes a playful turn as he scolds her for being too thankful, ending with her curious about the girl's interests. The young man asks if she knows what the other girl likes. She mentions pink as a favorite color, leaving him pondering the significance. If they part ways, then wonders about the girl's motives, his mind already racing to the next. The young man observes that Senpai still seems to be feeling down, while the girl munches on a snack with a content expression. Excitement builds as the group discusses their class's ambitious plan for the cultural festival. A celestial bodies exhibition with the room draped in black. The scene shifts as a new character. Sensei enters the room, catching the students off guard. The young man and the girl react with surprise, wondering if they have interrupted something important. Sensei, noticing their confusion, reassures them that he hasn't. Sensei introduces himself as the third-year Class 1's homeroom teacher and the biology club's advisor. Much to the students' astonishment, he shares that he was reprimanded by the Cultural Festival Committee for the biology club's indecision. Turning to Hoshi-kun, the tension escalates as Sensei scolds Hoshi-kun for overfeeding the fish, explaining the importance of proper care. The young man and the girl exchange worried glances, realizing the gravity of the situation. When Sensei asks about their plans for the festival, the young man agrees to help with the biology club's exhibit, while Hitotsuba Kade explains Kasuga-san's absence due to her committee duties. The girl eagerly suggests an idea for the exhibit, her enthusiasm infectious as she declares, "All right." The scene shifts to the next day, the sky dotted with birds and the clock on the building marking the passage of time. The anticipation builds as the characters prepare for the upcoming event, their plans about to unfold. The group discusses their strategy for engaging visitors, promising to share fascinating details about the animals. The girl, determined to excel, insists on maintaining a quiet environment, her resolve evident as she asks the sensei to keep the noise down. The young man shares his thoughts on the exhibit, suggesting it could be a valuable experience for aspiring teachers. Hitotsuba Kade, excited by the prospect, declares her commitment to doing her best. The group rallies, their spirits high as they agree to give it their. Kasuga-san hands over a class t-shirt, explaining its significance for the last cultural festival. The girl, visibly excited, thanks Kasuga-san, insisting she should wear it right away. Meanwhile, the two boys outside express their surprise at being kicked out so. The young man questions Sensei about Senpai's decision to become a teacher, revealing his surprise from the career interview. Sensei responds thoughtfully, suggesting that Senpai's own determination is what truly matters, while the young man reflects on her self-doubt. The group erupts in cheers as they admire the girl's new look, praising her braided hair and outfit. The young man, curious about the commotion, joins in the excitement. With the cultural festival approaching, they raise their fists in unity, vowing to give. Preparations for the cultural festival progress smoothly, with decorating and organizing enthusiastically. As the day arrives, the atmosphere is electric, filled with anticipation and joy. The festival begins, marking a significant moment for. Hitotsuba Kade announces she will be away during lunch to assist her class, but assures the others she will still be there to help. The young man enthusiastically agrees, declaring they will do their best today. Meanwhile, another student expresses a preference. The girl wonders about the living beings in the biology club, learning they are redfish called bull red guppies. She marvels at their docility and compatibility with other fish species. As she continues her explanation, the boy beside her playfully interrupts. The young man reassures the others that the student-led exhibition is nothing to worry about, encouraging them to relax. He notices more people arriving and reminds them to keep their backs straight, maintaining a sense of order. The girl observes that the visitors seem accustomed to the. In a sudden turn of events, the girl trips and falls, exclaiming in surprise. The young man rushes to her side, checking if she is hurt. She reassures him she is fine, but the incident highlights the need for caution around steps of that height. The scene captures a moment of care and concern. The girl excitedly recognizes Hoshi-kun, declaring she will be in his care. Hoshi-kun, however, insists on a game of rock, paper, scissors to decide who gets to feed the fish, setting a playful challenge. The girl eagerly agrees, her eyes sparkle. Hoshi-kun gratefully accepts the girl's help, acknowledging that her earlier assistance has now been repaid. The girl beams with joy, thanking Hoshi-kun as she hands him a treat. Hoshi, touched by her kindness, watches her with a warm smile. The girl curiously asks if the boy knows the third year who frequents the club. He admits to having seen her before, but reveals that rumors about her made it hard for him to continue visiting, leading to his departure. The girl listens intently, her expression shifting as she processes. The boy confesses that the girl's appearance is exactly his type, surprising even himself with the realization. He stammers, trying to play it cool, but the girl playfully teases him, suggesting he's blushing. As he prepares to leave, The girl encourages him, wishing him luck with it. The girl proudly showcases a beautifully decorated classroom, explaining that she drew it with the children who were there earlier. Her friend marvels at the artwork, while the girl beams with joy, recalling a special night when they snuck into the school together. Drawing things, the young man reveals he couldn't sleep after a nightmare, finding solace in the peaceful sight of his companion sleeping nearby. His nervousness grows as he contemplates the intimacy of the moment. Seeking relief, he decides a hot bath will help him relax and clear his mind. The young man sits on a couch, engrossed in a video game, his fingers deftly maneuvering the controller. His eyes light up as he admires the latest 4K OLED TV, marveling at the crisp visuals. The room is filled with the sound of the game, creating an immersive experience. Hitotsuba-san contemplates playing a game but worries about how it might make her companion feel if she plays alone. The thought of being excluded, even in the same space, fills her with a sense of loneliness. She decides against playing, feeling guilty for even considering it. The young man stares in surprise as 2 bags from a familiar hamburger chain appear in Miyamoto-san's hands. Miyamoto-san's? He exclaims, bewildered. The girl, equally shocked, asks, "How come? Where did you come from?" Kaede-sama's request for McDonald's breakfast echoes through the scene as the young man wonders about her peculiar eating habits. Pizza for dinner yesterday and McDonald's for breakfast today, he muses, feeling a bit uneasy. The man reassures him. The young man debates whether to wake Hitotsuba-san or take a quick bath first. If possible, I'd wake Hitotsuba-san up and eat before the food gets cold, he thinks. The man advises, don't worry, Kaede-sama is not much of a morning person, so she won't. The young man thanks Miyamoto-san for his assistance, acknowledging the outing they have planned. No worries, this is part of my job, Miyamoto-san replies. The man adds, I'll be accompanying you, so I'm looking forward to it. The young man struggles, his body trembling as he whispers, dip, his muscles strain under the weight of an unseen burden, pushing him to his limits. Hitotsuba-san luxuriates in the large bathtub, her voice filled with contentment. Ah, it feels so good, she murmurs, savoring the bliss of the moment. The young man imagines sharing the tub with her, his heart racing with excitement. Hoshi stands by, observing the scene with a mix of curiosity and amusement. It's been roughly 10 minutes since Senpai left, he notes, suggesting it's time for her return. The young man, however, is too engrossed in his fantasies to notice the passing time. The young man's thoughts take a playful turn as he considers the cultural festival. You should also experience the cultural festival to some extent, he tells himself, deciding to embrace the childlike side of the event. His attention is momentarily drawn to a fish. The young man announces he's heading to the toilet, promising to return soon. Hitotsuba Kaede assures him that Sensei will handle things in his absence. Suddenly, the girl calls out to Senpai, her voice tinged with urgency. The young man expresses gratitude for the support he's received, his eyes brimming with emotion. He reflects on how people like the girl have helped her change. The girl blushes, insisting that all she did was stay by Senpai's side. The young man agrees to continue taking care of Kokoro, his resolve firm. The girl, with a mix of embarrassment and determination, asks him to please continue. The young man nods, ready to fulfill his promise. The young man thanks the group for their hard work, acknowledging the end of an era as they retire. The girl, with a bittersweet smile, thanks him for making today's performance their last. The young man apologizes for making them wait, eager to return to the clubroom. The girl asks Hitotsuba Kaede why she is crying, revealing a deep sense of indebtedness for past favors. Kaede thanks Kasuga-senpai, her voice trembling with emotion. The scene shifts to a group of students discussing the after-party, their excitement palpable. Hoshi-kun's actions draw curiosity from his peers, who wonder about his intentions. The girl reflects on the cultural festival's end, noting the third-year students' upcoming focus on exams. A sense of nostalgia fills the air as the festival concludes. The biology club thanks its visitors, marking the end of the 33rd Cultural Festival. Sensei praises the students for their hard work, while the young man observes the setting sun, comments on the swift passage of time in winter. The atmosphere is one of quiet. The bonfire, a tradition at the festival's end, captivates the students with its fierce flames. The girl suggests they visit the food stalls for leftovers, her excitement evident. Despite the darkness of the winter evening, the group decides to stay and enjoy the festival's. The young man marvels at the impressive scene before him, while the girl beside him shares her thoughts. She reflects on the joy of pretending to be a teacher, meeting new people, and experiencing various activities. Her eyes sparkle with excitement as she declares, The girl expresses her newfound confidence, attributing it to the day's events. She thanks her companion, who listens intently. However, her mood shifts as she contemplates her upcoming graduation, feeling a twinge of loneliness at the thought of leaving. The girl's sadness deepens as she realizes she won't see Senpai anymore. Her companion acknowledges her feelings, but is taken aback by his own emotional response, wondering what has just happened to him. The classmate approaches, asking Hoshi-kun if he has thought about something Sensei mentioned. Hoshi-kun admits he hasn't, but the girl quickly apologizes to Senpai, begging him not to be upset. Senpai, however, seems more concerned about the girl introduces herself with a bright smile, declaring, "My name is Sorano Kokoro." Her new acquaintance responds with genuine admiration. "That's a nice name." Sorano beams with joy, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Hoshi-kun inquires about Sorano's visit to the clubroom, but she admits feeling intimidated by the third-year senpai's dedication. "I couldn't get myself to talk to them," she confesses, her voice tinged with a hint of disappointment. Sorano observes the third-year senpai and another student enjoying each other's company, deciding not to interrupt their moment. "But I wonder if it's okay to give up so easily," she muses, her resolve wavering. Hoshi-kun reassures her. The young man encourages his friend, reminding her of her excellent grades and the support she has received. "I really want to be admitted into this school, after all," she declares with determination, her eyes reflecting the weight of her aspirations. The friend nods in agreement. The young man celebrates with a triumphant shout, while the girl bursts into tears of joy. "Congratulations on your acceptance," rings out, but the scene quickly turns chaotic as the girl's emotions overwhelm her. Sensei rushes to her side, pleading, "Please come to your senses." The young woman reassures the young man, "With your exceptional force of will, I'm sure you'll become a great teacher." Despite the looming challenges, the young man's determination shines through as he vows, "I'll do my absolute best." The girl's eyes sparkle with hope, and the room fills. The girl reflects on the news of another's university acceptance, finding comfort in the thought of a worry-free graduation ceremony. Suddenly, Hoshi-kun appears, his face flushed with urgency. "Did you properly tell that senpai about your feelings?" The young man's eyes widen in shock as he processes Hoshi-kun's question. The girl's expression shifts from surprise to confusion, her thoughts swirling with unspoken words. As the tension builds, the young man's cheeks turn red, and he stammers. The young woman beams with joy, her eyes sparkling as she celebrates her university acceptance. Her friends surround her, sharing in the excitement, their laughter echoing in the crisp winter air. Snowflakes gently fall, adding to the festive atmosphere. Yuya-kun sits in the bath, his cheeks flushed as the girl asks why he is blushing so much. She leans closer, her expression playful and curious, while he stammers, trying to find the right words. The tension between them is palpable, their interaction charged with unspoken. Hirosuba-san confronts the young man, her voice tinged with frustration and longing. She reveals her loneliness, explaining how she couldn't bear to be apart from him for even a second. The young man, taken aback, struggles to process her words. The young man shakes his head, trying to resist the temptation to look at the girl. Despite the towel, her beauty is undeniable, her skin like freshly fallen snow. She teases him, suggesting he should look, her words both innocent and provocative. The moment is. The young man clenches his fist, torn between curiosity and hesitation. "I want to look, but if I do, I feel like it'd be kind of over," he admits. The girl, wrapped in a towel, reassures him, "Rest assured, Yuya-kun." With a smile, the girl declares, "See, it's okay, isn't it?" Yuya-kun, still uncertain, ponders aloud, "I'm naked but not really naked, right?" The girl's playful demeanor contrasts sharply with his confusion. The young man tries to think calmly, reminding himself that the towel might come off during a shower. The girl asks, "Is it okay?" But he replies, "No, I still don't feel like it's okay." Her realization hits her like a wave and she gasps. The girl playfully teases, "The punchline is that you're wearing a swimsuit underneath." Yuya-kun, caught off guard, exclaims, "I go beyond that." She laughs, "Foo-foo, that's my Yuya-kun." As the tension between them dissolves into a moment, the young man nervously greets his friends, Hoshi and Yamanashi, who are surprised to see him. Hoshi exclaims in shock, while Yamanashi calmly acknowledges their presence. The girl, however, stands alone, her expression a mix of curiosity. The young man's friends reassure him, suggesting he confess his feelings. He hesitates, his anxiety palpable as he considers their advice. The classroom buzzes with anticipation. and the young man's resolve wavers, his mind racing with uncertainty. The young man's anxiety peaks as he contemplates confessing. His classmates notice his distress, offering words of concern. The graduating students make their grand entrance, drawing everyone's attention, and the young man marvels at their polished appearance. The young man reflects on the graduating students, noting Senpai's unique style. He wonders if his confession will be remembered, even if Senpai moves far away. The ceremony proceeds, and the young man's thoughts are filled with hope and apprehension. The young man spots Senpai in the crowd, his heart racing with excitement. "Senpai!" he calls out, but the sumo club's sudden appearance steals the spotlight, leaving him stunned and confused. The girl, however, seems thrilled, her eyes wide with amazement. Sensei greets the girl warmly, his glasses reflecting the joy of the moment. "Congratulations on your graduation," he says, his voice filled with pride. The girl beams, her cheeks flushed with happiness as she promises to consult him if she ever needs help. Their bond. Namiki-san congratulates the girl on her graduation, her voice tinged with nostalgia. They vow to meet again even after parting ways, their friendship enduring the test of time. The girl, overwhelmed with emotion, expresses her gratitude for the chance to. Kasuga-san finally locates the girl amidst the bustling crowd, her relief palpable. "Ah, Kasuga-san!" the girl exclaims, her eyes lighting up with surprise. Kasuga-san hands her a gift, their interaction marking a significant moment in their relationship. Hitotsuba Kaide decides it's time to go, exchanging contact information with a friend. The girl hands over her email address, ensuring they can stay connected after Hitotsuba Kaide leaves. With a smile, Hitotsuba Kaide borrows an album. The girl warns her friend not to hang out with weird people, but Hitotsuba Kaide is too excited, shouting, "Yeah!" as she runs off. Hitotsuba Kaide turns back, calling out, "Senpai!" with a determined look, while the girl Hitotsuba Kaide giggles, saying it's payback for being called by her name. The young man blushes, admitting it's the first time she's called him by his name. As they stand close, Hitotsuba Kaide hesitates, starting to say "Senpai." Her heart races. The young man realizes he must convey his feelings before Hitotsuba Kaide graduates. He stammers, trying to express himself, while Hitotsuba Kaide looks on with curiosity, wondering what he's about to say. The tension between them is palpable as they face. The young man reflects on his past, admitting he always followed orders but couldn't live his life as he wanted. Suddenly, a girl steps forward, revealing that she learned valuable lessons from being with him. The young man, moved, thanks her for helping him finally like himself. The young man pleads with Senpai not to leave yet, his voice trembling with desperation. The girl, however, feels conflicted, realizing her words might only trouble Senpai further. She watches him walk away, her heart heavy with regret. Hoshi-kun expresses his gratitude to the girl, acknowledging that she gave him courage and taught him important lessons. They share a heartfelt moment, holding hands as he expresses sadness about graduating. The girl, touched, realizes the depth of her. The young man, with a determined nod, says he'll be going now, wiping away a tear. The girl, with a bright smile, waves goodbye, saying, "See you." Their parting is bittersweet, filled with unspoken promises and lingering emotions. The girl calls out desperately, "Senpai!" Her voice carries a mix of urgency and fear as she watches the young man leap into action, her eyes wide in shock, reflecting the gravity of the moment. The young man asks, "Senpai, could you close your eyes and give me your hand?" The girl, confused but trusting, extends her hand. They lock eyes briefly before their hands meet, a silent promise exchanged between them. The girl says, "Yeah," her voice steady despite the emotional weight. The young man responds, "Okay, then, congratulations on your graduation." The words hang in the air, a bittersweet farewell against the backdrop of the school. The girl stands alone, her shoulders slumped in sadness. Friends approach, concern etched on their faces, but she turns away, tears threatening to spill. She sniffs back her emotions, trying to compose herself as she faces this new chapter. The girl stands frozen, clutching her chest as she pleads, "Don't forget about me." Her eyes widen with desperation, and a hand reaches out, fingers splayed as if trying to grasp something intangible. The moment hangs heavy with unspoken emotions. The girl's expression shifts to confusion as she hears a voice whisper, "Heart." Her gaze follows the sound, but all she finds is more questions. The tension builds as her eyes dart around, searching for answers. A student slams a can on a desk, startling the class. The young man's face contorts in pain as he clutches his stomach, groaning. Panic spreads as classmates react with shock and alarm, the room erupting into chaos. 2 years after Senpai graduated, the young man reflects on their lost connection. He types a message to Sarano Kokoro, proposing a meetup. As the train approaches the next station, anticipation builds for the reunion. The young man orders a cappuccino, his eyes fixed on the window as he waits. He taps his fingers impatiently, muttering that it's almost time but Senpai hasn't arrived. The waitress and he wonders if Senpai even lives in the area. The young man's phone rings and he fumbles to answer it, spilling his cappuccino. He wonders if Senpai is doing well, his mind consumed by anxiety. Taking a sip of his coffee, he tries to calm his nerves. The girl exclaims, "Okay," with a bright smile, her eyes sparkling with determination. She stands under a starry sky, her heart full of hope and resolve, ready to face whatever comes next. The young man looks up, his expression serious as he recalls a past conversation with Senpai. He remembers Senpai's hesitant, "Yeah," and his own confession that he has something to ask. The tension between them is palpable, their words hanging in. The young man and the girl stand awkwardly, both blushing. Who should answer first? The young man stammers, his voice trembling. The girl mirrors his nervousness, agreeing that their shared question is coincidence. Yuya-kun and the girl discuss their plans, with the girl suggesting they start with cutlery before moving on to appliances. "Where do you want to go first?" she asks, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Yuya-kun, still eating, responds thoughtfully. The girl pleads for forgiveness, her voice tinged with a playful meow. She promises to do better next time, even suggesting they do it on the bed if Yuya-kun wishes. Yuya-kun, stunned, can only manage a silent ellipsis. The girl then warns him that if he... The girl explains her meticulous grooming routine, emphasizing that it doesn't take long for her to get ready. "All I need to do is put on some clothes quickly, fix my hair, and wait," she says confidently. Standing beside her, the young man listens intently. The girl then... Hitotsuba Kaide smiles warmly at Yuya, declaring her affection for his inner qualities. "Don't worry, you're cool just the way you are," she reassures him. Yuya, touched by her words, nods in agreement. The young man offers to cook pasta for Hitotsuba Kaide, but she playfully teases him about his cooking skills. "It took longer than I thought," she says with a hint of disappointment. Despite this, she suggests they have dinner at home, and Yuya agrees, though Hitotsuba Kaide excitedly promises to showcase her cooking skills tomorrow. "So be prepared," she exclaims with a mischievous grin. Determined to outdo Yuya, she insists they hurry to meet Miyamoto-san and head to the supermarket. Yuya savors the meal, complimenting Hitotsuba Kaide's cooking. "It's good," he exclaims, wondering if she's a genius. Hitotsuba Kaide, confident in her, teases him about his lack of culinary talent and vows to make something he'll... The girl enthusiastically declares Hamburg steak as her favorite dish, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Yuya-kun, surprised by her declaration, realizes she knows him better than he thought. Hitotsuba-san, overhearing, interrupts. Over tea, the girl leans in, her eyes filled with curiosity, and asks Yuya-kun a question that has been on her mind. Yuya-kun, taken aback, stammers slightly before agreeing to answer honestly. The tension builds as the girl's serious expression contrasts sharply. Under a starry sky, the girl's voice trembles as she confesses her insecurities, her hands clasped tightly. Yuya-kun, startled by the clatter of her cup, stares in disbelief. The girl, sensing his reaction, presses on, her words flowing with a mix of vulnerability. Tears well up in the girl's eyes as she questions her own attractiveness, her voice breaking with each word. Yuya-kun, caught off guard, struggles to respond, his face twitching in confusion. The girl, desperate for reassurance, leans in closer, her eyes. Hitotsuba Kaide confesses her admiration for Hitotsuba-san, praising her playful and talkative nature. The young man, overwhelmed by her words, slams his hand down, declaring that a normal person couldn't handle such a situation. Hitotsuba-san, blushing like a... The girl's eyes widen in shock as she realizes the intensity of the young man's stare. She warns him that all men are beasts, hinting at the consequences of his actions. The tension escalates as she threatens to seriously attack him if he doesn't back down. The girl embraces Yuya-kun, her heart racing with a mix of affection and uncertainty. She questions if it's okay for her to feel this way, seeking reassurance. Yuya-kun, taken aback by her sudden confession, struggles to find the right words. His mind... Hitotsuba-san teases Yuya-kun, promising not to go easy on him once he truly likes her. The young man, flustered, stammers as he tries to understand her intentions. She playfully licks her spoon, her eyes sparkling with mischief, leaving Yuya Yuya-kun decides to keep things as they are, but a glint in the girl's eye warns him of her determination. She threatens to keep him awake all night if he pushes her too far. The door slams shut, leaving Yuya-kun alone with his thoughts. The young man yawns, checking the time on his phone. It's 6:32. He stands up, ready to start his day, and realizes he needs to wake the girl up. Her sleeping form lies peacefully, unaware of the morning that awaits. Last night, the girl excitedly suggests going to school together tomorrow. Yuya-kun questions the naturalness of a childhood friend waking him every morning, but she insists it's only fitting since they live together. Her enthusiasm is palpable even as she lies. Last night appear, setting the stage for the events that unfolded, bridging the past and the present. Hitotsuba Kaede declares her intention to show off to everyone that Yoshizumi Yuya-kun is her boyfriend. Her resolve is unwavering as she firmly states she won't give him away to anyone. Yuya-kun looks up at her, his expression a mix of... The girl teases Yuya-kun, noting his blush and calling him bashful. He retorts sharply, but she laughs it off, finding his reaction endearing. The tension between them builds as she challenges him to wake up early if he wants to go to school with her, a task he deems. Hitotsuba Kaede accuses Yuya-kun of cruelty for not waking her up, demanding to know if he's a demon. She struggles to get up, groaning as she realizes the consequences of oversleeping. Meanwhile, Yuya-kun admits he got up early specifically to avoid. The young man grapples with the futon, trying to rouse Hitotsuba Kaede, who is still half asleep. He decides he can't let her sleep any longer, fearing she'll be late. As he finally manages to wake her, she groggily asks if he's awake, her voice thick with... The young man leans in close, urgency in his voice. Hey, you're gonna be late if you don't get up soon, okay? The girl, still half asleep, blinks slowly. Yuya-kun, her eyes widen as she realizes the situation, and she quickly sits up. The girl's eyes snap open, her mind racing. She's reacting faster than me, even though she's not fully awake yet. The young man's heart pounds as he tries to keep up. If you don't help me get changed, all. The tension builds as she soulfully teases. Undress. The girl's eyes, once drowsy, now shine brightly. She's doing it on purpose, the young man realizes, a grin spreading across her face. This is a bit annoying, isn't it? He thinks, but can't help but laugh. Yeah, I get it. The girl's teasing. The young man takes a deep breath, steeling himself. Okay, here I go. He pulls the girl's shirt, his mind racing. This'll keep me rational, he tells himself. The girl's eyes widen as he undresses her quickly, turning around in a snap. It's all right, he reassures. Yuya-san hugs the young man tightly, her face flushed with embarrassment. Why aren't you wearing any underwear? She stammers, her voice a mix of shock and curiosity. The young man, Yuya-kun, remains silent, his gaze fixed on her. Hitotsuba-san laughs nervously, trying to brush off the awkward situation. I don't wear it at night, she admits, her laughter tinged with a hint of mischief. Yuya-kun can't help but feel surprised, his mind racing with the implications of her word. The young man leans in close, his eyes locking on to Hitotsuba-san's. If you go too far, I'll eat you up, he whispers, his voice low and teasing. Hitotsuba-san's eyes widen in shock, but she quickly recovers. Her young man reflects on the moment, his thoughts heavy with uncertainty. I think I was putting up a front, but any further and my reason was about to vanish, he muses, his gaze drifting to the sky. The weight of his future, full of difficulties, hangs heavy. The young man greets Yuya with a tap on the shoulder, but Yuya already feels groggy. Despite the early hour, Yuya acknowledges the start of a new day with a sigh. The group's camaraderie is evident as they prepare for what lies ahead. Shinji Hiyu, the young man's close friend, notices his unusual tiredness. Known for his creative soccer plays, Shinji is a beloved figure among the girls. Yet, he remains loyal to his partner on the pitch. Their bond is strong. The girl introduces A. Nikaido, another close friend, who sports an androgynous beauty that earns her the title, the Prince of Meiwa Day. Despite her first-year status, A is the basketball club's ace, rivaling even Hitotsuba. Yuya marvels at Ai's perfection, calling her a true prince. Even from his perspective, Ai's handsomeness is undeniable. When asked to straighten up, Yuya admits to feeling mentally exhausted, but the group's playful banter lightens the mood. The towering school building looms under a cloudy sky, setting the stage for the day's events. Inside, students settle into their desks, the classroom buzzing with the usual pre-class chatter. Kaido sits engrossed in a book, her eyes scanning the pages with keen interest. A classmate leans over, curiosity piqued, and asks, "Nikaido, what are you reading today?" Nikaido smiles, her enthusiasm evident as she shares the title, a short story. The conversation shifts as another student joins in, asking about the mental exhaustion they seem to be feeling. The group has their shared interest in anime, bonding over their mutual passions. Suddenly, the focus narrows to a question about Hitotsuba Kaede, her name. The girl with the pigtail beams with pride, declaring Hitotsuba Kaede a flawless student with top grades and athletic prowess. The other student adds that she's a social media sensation, her posts going viral instantly. The young man can't help but marvel. Hitotsuba Kaede's dream of becoming a normal wife mates everyone, making her even more attractive. During a national beauty contest, she turns down offers from major production companies, shocking the audience. The young man wishes he could express such. The girl reveals Hitotsuba-san's popularity, noting that she has rejected many confessions. Shinichi overhears this and wonders who the lucky person might be. His curiosity grows as he realizes Hitotsuba-san might already have. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun recoils in disbelief, questioning if he could be the one Hitotsuba-san has in mind. His friends laugh at the idea, finding it hard to believe. Yoshizumi admits that Hitotsuba-san is out of his league, feeling amazed. A classmate slams the door, urging Yoshizumi to focus on girls closer to him rather than distant ideals. Yoshizumi nods in agreement, acknowledging the gap between himself and Hitotsuba Kaede. The girl declares that no boy in the school. Kaede's classmates buzz with excitement, whispering about her confession. Hitotsuba-san, intrigued, leans in, asking if Kaede really confessed her feelings. The girl, caught off guard, stammers, unsure how to respond to the sudden attention. Akio bursts into laughter, deciding to confront Yoshizumi-kun directly about the rumors. She warns him about his lack of awareness, then turns to Shinichi, teasing him about his curiosity. The classroom erupts in chatter as Yuya's face turns pale. Hitotsuba-san, desperate for answers, shakes Shinichi, demanding to know what Yoshizumi-kun asked. Akiho, unfazed, reveals that Hitotsuba-san is Shinji's classmate, the girl he fell in love with at first sight. The revelation, clutching a photo, grins mischievously, eager to show Hitotsuba-san's reaction. She teases Yoshizumi-kun, asking if he wants to see it too. Kaede, the main cause of the morning's excitement, clenches her fists in frustration, unwilling to. Hitotsuba-san's classmates erupt in excitement, demanding to know if she confessed her feelings. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun, guard, stammers as the girl presses a photo of Hitotsuba Kaede's smile into his hands. The girl insists. Hitotsuba-san leans in, her dripping with suggestive promise, offering her body and dreamy look to Yuya-kun. The tension escalates as another girl declares her readiness to devote herself entirely to him. The scene shifts to a class. Hitotsuba-san, unabashed, proclaims Yuya-kun as her beloved boyfriend, justifying her presence by her loneliness. Yuya-kun, flustered, questions her sudden appearance, revealing he hasn't responded to her confession. The girl, determined, threatens revenge for being called lovebirds, urging Yuya-kun to hurry to the cafeteria. She teases him with the prospect of sitting on her lap if they miss their seats. Yuya-kun, caught between amusement and exasperation. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun notices the matching blue bag and pink lunchbox container Hitotsuba-san was holding. He decides to confront Nikaido about it, asking if they're matching. Nikaido, caught off guard, hesitates before responding. Nikaido, holding a plastic bag, questions if his silence can be taken as confirmation. The young man, determined, insists on knowing where Nikaido is going. Nikaido, with a mischievous grin, suggests joining him, leaving the young man with no choice but to. The young man, with a resigned sigh, allows Nikaido to join him. The tension between them is palpable as they prepare to leave together, their relationship hanging in the balance. The girl accuses Yuya-kun of being a cheater, her anger evident. Yuya-kun, caught in the act, can only offer a weak thanks as he exits, leaving the girl to stare in disbelief and frustration. The young man slams his hand against the desk, exclaiming, "What a day!" This frustration is palpable as he reflects on the events that unfolded. The scene shifts to his school building, emphasizing the setting of his tumultuous day. The girl bursts into the cafeteria, her eyes wide with excitement. "Wow," she whispers, her voice trailing off as she takes in the bustling environment. Students chat and eat around her, but her attention is captivated by something unseen. Aki Ho-chan presents a plate of food to Cade, who marvels at the quality. Did Cade-chan make this? It's like something from a restaurant. Cade beams with pride, offering a taste. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun watches, eager to try the tension fills the air as AI Nikaido and another student engage in a serious conversation. I think there's a pretty significant difference between Hitotsuba-san giving it to Atsuka-san, giving it to Atsuki-san, and me giving it to Nikaido. Ai Nikaido explains. Ai Nikaido reaches out, offering chopsticks with a hint of mischief. Lending chopsticks to Nikaido so that she can eat with them, she thinks, her eyes locking onto the chopsticks as they clatter to the table. The girl's face flushes, realizing the indirect kiss. Ai Nikaido's voice cuts through the air, Yuya-kun, as she notices someone calling her A-chan before she did. The young man's eyes widen in surprise and he stammers, "What kind of relationship do you two have?" Ai Nikaido glares. The room erupts in confusion as the young man asks, "What the heck is happening here?" His finger taps anxiously on the table, his mind racing. Ai Nikaido tries to reassure him. "Nikaido and I are just classmates, so don't worry." But the matching lunchboxes with Ai Nikaido's curiosity peaks as she examines the Hamburg steak. "Hitotsuba-san is the one who made this Hamburg steak, right?" she asks, her eyes narrowing. The young man's face contorts in frustration. "I really shot myself in the foot." Ai Nikaido's smile. Girl's stomach rumbles loudly, demanding attention. She insists, "You gotta clearly explain what's going on, right?" Her determination is palpable. After school, the soccer club's practice intensifies. The young man shouts, "Run, run!" as the ball bounces energetically, and the team responds with renewed vigor. Yoshizumi-kun struggles under the pressure, cursing under his breath. The senpai's encouragement turns into taunts, pushing him to his limits. The young man realizes, well, there's no doubt about the cause. Hitotsuba-san leans against the window, her gaze fixed on the scene below. The young man notices her and exclaims, "Why are you watching, Hitotsuba-san?" She blinks, caught off guard. The young man grumbles, frustrated that his girlfriend can't just wave her hands. Upstairs, a girl cheers. "Go for it, Yuya-kun." The young man's teammates glare, realizing her cheers will only fuel their opponent's spirits, making the game harder. Hitotsuba-san recounts her story, explaining how her parents left her in debt and her house empty. Just as she faced losing everything, Sakurako-san, a lawyer and her father's old friend, intervened and saved her. The young man listens, his expression. Nikaido demands a rewrite of the fabricated story, but Hitotsuba-san alone seems unhappy with the request. She slams her hand down, questioning why her mother gets credit despite her own pleas. Sakurako-san advises that the young man explains to his friend that he and his girlfriend are not dating, despite living together. His friend, Shinji, questions his presence and the young man deflects, asking about the defense's performance. The conversation shifts as the young man wonders aloud about. The young man refuses to date Hitotsuba-san, fearing he would never relax. His friend, however, sees an opportunity to impress her by scoring points in soccer. They clench their fists, ready to show their skills. Yuya's soccer skills dazzle everyone, earning him the admiration of a girl who exclaims how cool he is. Shinichi, noticing the attention, jokingly tells Yuya to take a break, while a friend remarks on how loved Yuya is. The girl locks the door behind her, heaving a sigh of relief. She lies down, exhausted, while another girl watches her with a curious expression. The tension in the room is palpable as they both try to catch their breath. Hitotsuba-san surprises Yuya by complimenting his amazing performance. She explains her own efforts in maintaining her physique, revealing that constant effort led to her being voted the prettiest female high school student in Japan. Yuya. The girl insists on keeping her secret, playfully teasing Yuya-kun. She whispers, "Secrets make girls beautiful," leaving Yuya-kun stunned and speechless. The tension between them crackles with unspoken words. The girl, still in the kitchen, teases Yuya-kun further. "Wash my back." When he hesitates, she pouts. "You're so mean, Yuya-kun." The scene shifts as she suggests they take a bath together, leaving Yuya-kun flustered. Outside the school, a shadowy figure glares menacingly, demanding to know what is happening. Nikaido, caught off guard, stammers, "Nikaido-san, no." The girl beside him whispers, "Hey, Nikaido." As the situation grows tense, in a flurry of excitement, fans scream and cheer as the young man smiles and waves. He playfully ignores their pleas, saying, "It's okay. It's like a kind of service." Nikaido teases him, It's to annoy you, Yoshizumi, as they share a moment of. The girl's eyes widen with shock as she realizes their mistake. You were one step too late, the young man says with a smirk, his words cutting through the air like a sharp blade. The girl's shoulders slump in defeat, her voice trembling as she admits, there's no way. The young man's gaze narrows as he confronts the girl, his voice tinged with accusation. Did she think I wouldn't notice her sneaking out of the bedroom? He demands, his words echoing with a sense of betrayal. The girl, now awake, sits up in bed, her eyes wide. The young man's face contorts with surprise as the girl's suggestion hits him like a bolt of lightning. Having him judge which lunch is better, she proposes, her voice filled with a mischievous twinkle. The young man's jaw drops, his mind racing to process the unexpected turn of events. The girl's face lights up with a triumphant smile as she declares, that's a good idea. Akiho-chan's voice rings out with enthusiasm, her words filled with encouragement. Way to go, Akiho-chan, she exclaims, her hand patting the young man's shoulder. The young man and the girl sit across from each other, their expressions tense. The girl clenches her fist, her eyes locked on the young man with a mix of determination and anxiety. Suddenly, the girl leaps forward, her movements swift and forceful as the sound of. The girl declares, I'll go first, her voice filled with excitement. She slams her hand down on the table, sending a bento box flying open. The contents spill out, revealing a feast of karaage and tamagoyaki. Her eyes widen with delight as she exclaims. The young man points at the girl, declaring, You're going for the win, Kai-chan. Kaidi's eyes widen in surprise, her heart racing. She gulps, then hurriedly begins to eat, her cheeks flushing with determination. The young man watches her intently, his expression. The girl asks, Did you do something special? The young man nods, explaining, I tossed the bonito flakes into the meat before frying. The girl's eyes light up as she tastes the dish, her face breaking into a smile. She praises, It has an authentic Japanese taste and smell. The girl whispers, That's a secret, with a mischievous smile, her eyes sparkling with hidden knowledge. The young man, intrigued, holds a sign that reads, Yup, she's cute, and she can keep her secrets, hinting at the girl's mysterious allure. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun receives a bento box with a gentle, Eat it up, okay, Yoshizumi? The young man, surprised, accepts the offering with a soft, Oh, as the bento lands with a plunk. The girl then declares, Okay, it's my turn next. The dish's level of perfection decides the victor, as the young man munches thoughtfully. The girl, with a surprised, Hua? And, Huh? Realizes the sides are surprisingly the same. The tension builds as the girl shakes her head in disbelief, exclaiming, The young man reveals his secret. I use miso for the seasoning. And that's because I mixed in sesame oil when I fried them, explaining the dish's unique flavor. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun, tasting the food, wonders, Did she add something extra? Yoshizumi's heart races as the young man questions the taste of the food she prepared. She anxiously wonders if it doesn't taste good, but relief washes over her when he confirms it tastes really good. The tension eases as they share a moment of approval. The lunch break draws to a close, and the young man addresses Yoshizumi, ignoring her memory of his preferences. A girl eagerly asks if he has decided which food was better, and he nods, ready to announce his choice. The anticipation builds as everyone waits. The young man hesitates, torn between Kaide-chan and Ai-chan, as the girl beside him encourages him to announce his decision. Feeling the pressure of the moment, as the choice weighs heavily on him, the tension is palpable as he prepares to speak. Mikado's name echoes in the air as the young man declares the winner of the lunch showdown. The girl beside him reacts with shock and disappointment, covering her mouth in disbelief. The scene shifts to a dramatic bell ringing, signaling the end of the lunch period. Ai Nikaido praises the fried eggs, comparing them to those from a traditional Japanese restaurant. Hitotsuba Kazuhiro, however, finds them too sweet, reminiscent of his mother's cooking. The young man questions the taste. Hitotsuba Kazuhiro admits he would have chosen Ai Nikaido's lunch if not for the sweetness. He realizes Ai Nikaido's preference for sweet fried eggs aligns with their previous discussions. However, Hitotsuba Kazuhiro emphasizes the seriousness of. Ai Nikaido explains her nickname stems from their shared interests and friendly bond. She reveals her desire to grow closer to Yuya-kun emotionally. The young man, taken aback, struggles to respond, his cheeks flushing with embarrassment. Hitotsuba Kazuhiro, blushing intensely, acknowledges his loss in the face of Ai Nikaido's confession. He turns away, overwhelmed by the situation, his face so hot it could catch fire. Ai Nikaido watches, surprised by the depth of Kaie's face flushes a deep red, mirroring a ripe tomato at harvest. She clasps her hands together, eyes sparkling with gratitude. Thank you very much, Yuya-kun, she whispers, her blush deepening with each word. Kaede-san exclaims with joy, her laughter echoing through the room. Finally, at last, she shouts, her happiness infectious. The girl decides this is a day to celebrate, her heart swelling with pride as she announces, I got Yuya. The girl's eyes light up as she notices her phone and skincare products. I should do my daily workout and skin conditioning while Yuya-kun is bathing, she thinks, her resolve firming. That's right, she confirms, her determination clear. Kaie-san's skin glows under the soft light, her touch gentle and inviting. You have a soft, rich skin. Can I touch it? She asks, her voice filled with admiration. The girl, blushing furiously, exclaims, Now Yuya-kun can touch. Hidotsuba-san feels dazed after her bath, her skin faintly steaming and hair moist. Yuya-kun notices her state and asks if she is okay, but Hidotsuba-san is lost in the moment, her heart racing. The girl's cheeks flush as she realizes how. The girl touches Yuya-kun's forehead, checking for a fever. He doesn't seem to have one, but her face flushes as she notices how close he is. She blurts out her thoughts, wondering if it's unfair for him to surprise her like this, but she can't help but feel a sense of. Yuya-kun explains the beauty appliance called a steamer, and the girl reassures him that it's nothing serious. She wonders if he enjoys hearing about such things, but she realizes that her happiness comes from knowing that her prettiness is the result of her daily efforts. The girl exclaims that she's the only one who knows about this, making her feel truly happy. She confesses that Yuya-kun's opinion of her beauty makes her happier than anything else. However, a sudden thought crosses her mind, leaving her with a lingering Kaede demands to know if Yuya-kun remembers his promise to call her by her first name. Shocked, Yuya-kun stammers, trying to recall the forgotten vow. Kaida's eyes widen in disbelief, questioning if he has already forgotten. The girl vows to do her best, her voice filled with determination. The young man nods, his expression a mix of surprise and resolve. Their conversation carries a weight of unspoken promises and shared resolve. The young man's eyes widen as a sudden, unexpected noise startles him. A sharp, mechanical sound echoes, followed by the swift motion of an object slicing through the air. The scene is tense, the air thick with anticipation and surprise. Hidotsuba-san questions the sudden change in the young man's behavior, her tone laced with skepticism. The girl's shock is palpable as the young man confesses his efforts to call her by her first name. Despite the awkwardness, she suggests they go to school together. The girl exclaims in excitement, declaring it her first time going to school with Yuya-kun. She slams the door shut, leaving Yuya-kun behind as she rushes to prepare, determined to put in even more effort than usual. The girl demands an answer from Yuya-kun, who covers his face in embarrassment. She insists on choosing the cutest underwear, believing it's important for their first day together. The tension escalates as she presents two options, pressing him for a decision. Kaede-san's eyes widen in shock as she hears the choice of the red underwear. Yuya-kun explains his reasoning, praising the passionate red color. Kaede-san giggles, understanding his sentiment, and decides to wear the red one today. The young man collapses onto his bed, overwhelmed by fatigue despite the day just beginning. He wonders if he'll manage the rest of the day, feeling full of anxiety. Outside, the city looms, a backdrop to his internal struggle. The young man stares ahead, silent and tense. Suddenly, a trio of students glares at him with intense hostility, their fists clenched in anger. The school building looms in the background, a silent witness to the brewing confrontation. Yuya greets the day with a forced smile, but his fears quickly materialize as classmates surround him. How does it feel to be the star of the day? One taunts. The young man's discomfort is palpable as he struggles to respond. His classmates' eyes fill with. Yoshizumi presses the young man, questioning his relationship with Hidotsuba-san. You said she confessed her feelings to you, Yoshizumi reminds him. The young man's unease grows as the rumors swirl around him, and the pressure to confess mounts. The young man's thoughts turn inward as the school bell rings, signaling the end of class. I haven't yet responded to her confession, he muses, his mind heavy with indecision. As lunch break approaches, he resolves to seek more details, but the weight of the situation leaves. Yoshizumi and Nikaido find a secluded spot to continue their conversation. Yoshizumi and Nikaido find a secluded spot to continue their conversation. Yoshizumi and Nikaido find a secluded spot to continue their conversation. Mikao presses Yoshizumi on why he hasn't responded to Kaede-san's feelings, suspecting there might be someone else. Yoshizumi confesses his fear of losing loved ones, a pain that haunts him deeply. Mikao challenges this fear. Yoshizumi reveals his past trauma, where people he thought would always be there suddenly vanished. This fear paralyzes him, preventing him from reciprocating Kaede-san's feelings. Mikado acknowledges the pain, her heart aching at the thought of such loss. Mikado admits she can't fully grasp Yoshizumi's pain or loneliness, but offers her support nonetheless. She questions if Yoshizumi is being foolish, yet understands his struggle. Determined, she vows to stand by him. The girl questions Yoshizumi's understanding of Hitotsuba-san and her dedication. Yoshizumi, standing behind a fence, reflects on Kaede-san's uniqueness, acknowledging his deep knowledge of her. The tension builds as he sighs, realizing Mikado confronts Yoshizumi, challenging his resolve. The young man retorts with a forceful, "Get real," and delivers a powerful punch, the impact resounding with a loud bash. The scene shifts as a buzzing phone interrupts the confrontations, hinting at The phone rings insistently, and the young man answers with a startled, "Hello, Yoshi?" A voice on the other end urgently calls for help, revealing a scene involving Hitotsuba-san. The young man's face contorts with worry as he processes the dire news. Kaido urges Yoshizumi to rush to the infirmary, revealing that Kaede-san has collapsed. The young man, driven by concern, dashes away with renewed urgency. Mikaido's final words linger, a mix of encouragement and farewell, as the scene captures. Kaede-san struggles to sit up, her face flushed with fever. The young man rushes to her side, concern etched on his face. "Are you okay, Kaede-san?" he asks, his voice filled with worry. Kaide's hand feels cool against her burning skin. "Your hand is cool and comfortable, Yuya-kun," she murmurs, her eyes half closed. The young man's expression softens, but his concern deepens as he realizes the gravity of her condition. The girl insists it's just overwork and lack of sleep, dismissing the possibility of a cold. The young man remains skeptical, his eyes locking onto hers with a mix of worry and determination. "It's not a cold or anything," she insists, but he knows better. The girl pleads with the young man, her grip tightening on his arm. "Stay with me," she whispers, her voice barely above a murmur. He nods, his resolve firm. "Don't go anywhere," he promises, his eyes never leaving hers. The young man vows to do his best, his resolve clear. The girl, with a fierce determination, demands his undivided attention. He reassures her, promising everything will be all right. The young man squeezes the girl's hand, declaring he won't leave. He offers his support, telling her she can rely on him. The girl, touched by his words, asks if he'll never leave her side. The girl, blushing, admits she always demands attention. She asks Yuya-kun if she can lean on him even more. He agrees, and they share a tender moment, hugging closely. A cheerful girl thanks Hitotsuba-san for waiting, revealing she bought cold sheets for his head. As she places the sheet, she rubs his forehead affectionately, her smile warm and caring. Chikase Gusa-sensei's corners of her mouth twitch as she questions the young man's presence. The girl, identified as Yoshizumi, stammers under the nurse's scrutiny. Hitotsuba Kaede, the new female nurse, steps in, explaining her concern for Kaede. Kaede-san's condition troubles the young man, who anxiously inquires about her state. The girl, still dazed, confesses her feelings for Yuya-kun, leaving Chikase Gusa-sensei bewildered by the unexpected confession. The scene shifts as the girl's thoughts and Yuya-kun faces an excited Chikase Gusa-sensei, who playfully teases him about his devotion to Totsuba-san. Hitotsuba-san's repeated calls for Yuya-kun fuel the nurse's amusement, as she jokes about the young man's enviable situation. The tension breaks as the young man questions Hitotsuba-san's health, only to receive a dismissive response from Chikase Gusa-sensei. The girl, still preoccupied with Hitotsuba-san's fever, wonders if the nurse should seek medical help. Chikase Gusa Yoshizumi Yuya-kun realized the urgency of the situation. He decides he must hurry back to ensure Kaie's well-being. The girl, determined, vows to pull off the spoiled child who has turned into a burden. The young man urgently tells Hitotsuba-san to calm down and lie down. He insists that the infirmary is not a place for making out. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun's resolve is clear as he demands they return to class and start learning. Kaie-san bids farewell, leaving the rest to Sayusa-sensei. The young man pleads, "Don't go." He declares his intention to become a man who can support Kaie-san. showing his dedication and resolve. The young man decides to go home as soon as practice is over, determined not to miss club activities because of Kaede-san's condition. He hurries home, ready to take care of Kaede-san, grabbing his jacket with urgency. Kaede-san greets Yuya-kun with a warm smile, praising his hard work. The young man, surprised by her presence, questions her sudden appearance and her well-being. Kaede-san playfully teases him, asking if he plans to practice overtime today. The girl pouts, asking if her expression is bad. She admits that she wanted to go home with Yuya-kun no matter what, her cheeks flushing with a blush. Her determination is clear, despite the occasional "cuz" and upturned eyes. Yuya-kun suggests she could have waited in the classroom, but Kaede-san clenches her fist, insisting she would have picked him up if he had sent a message. The girl stammers, her cheeks reddening as she tries to explain herself. The young man declares it punishment for Kaede-san waiting outside in the cold. He wraps his scarf around her, silencing her protests as the temperature drops. Kaede-san, caught off guard, wonders what might happen next as they walk together. The girl hands over mittens to Yuya-kun, him to use them. "Let's hurry home and eat something warm today," she suggests, her eyes reflecting concern. Yuya-kun, touched by her kindness, agrees to stop by the supermarket for vegetables and meat. Walking hand in hand, the girl and Yuya-kun share a moment of intimacy. It's not visible from the outside, but it's obvious that we're holding hands, she whispers, her heart racing. Yuya-kun, feeling the warmth of her hand, admits, if anything. The girl confronts Yuya-kun, her eyes narrowing. "Do you hate to walk home holding hands with me, Yuya-kun?" she asks, her voice tinged with hurt. Yuya-kun, taken aback, stammers, "Of course not." Their intertwined fingers, she notes. The girl notices schoolgirls glaring at her, sensing their jealousy. "I knew you had fans, Yuya-kun," she says, a hint of amusement in her voice. Yuya-kun, trying to downplay the situation, insists he's not the kind of guy who stands out. The girl leans in, her voice earnest. "Listen," she begins, and the young man, Yuya-kun, looks surprised. She praises his charm and dedication, her words flowing with admiration. Yuya-kun's cheeks flush as he processes her. Takeo's voice is hesitant, but the girl's gaze is sharp. She looks at Yoshizumi so closely, she observes, her tone tinged with a hint of jealousy. Yoshizumi's face contorts with frustration, his words biting. "Being a popular guy is hard, Yoshizumi." Kaede-chan and I-chan exchange glances, their expressions a mix of amusement and curiosity. "Kaede-chan and I-chan, have you two already decided what to do for Valentine's Day next week?" the girl asks, her voice tinged with excitement. The girl's enthusiasm is infectious. "I'm going to make a chocolate cake this weekend at Yuya-kun's request," she declares, her eyes shining with determination. Takeo gives a thumbs up, his support clear. Kaede-chan's face lights up with admiration. Her words are... Kaede-chan proposes a chocolate-making session at her place, but Yuya-kun hesitates, fearing their cohabitation might be exposed. The girl insists they can make it together and give it to friends. Kaede-san glances at Yuya-kun. The girl challenges Yuya-kun's reluctance, asking why he's giving a smug thumbs up. Shinji joins the conversation, wondering about their plans. The girl excitedly suggests making chocolate while they are away at club activities, promising to... The young man panics, fearing their secret will be revealed. I-chan declines the invitation due to prior commitments. The girl suggests a girls-only gathering before the boys arrive, checking with Kaede-chan if it's okay. Nikaido decides to head back to the class. The weekend arrives, and Kaede-san hands Yuya-kun his lunch, made from yesterday's leftovers. Yuya-kun thanks her, feeling happy despite the simple gesture. Kaede-san's thoughtfulness shines through in this quiet moment. The girl's heart pounds with each thump, her cheeks flushing as she confesses. "Actually, I wanted to ask you to kiss me goodbye." The young man, taken aback, realizes she's intentionally playing with his emotions, making his heart race. But he decides to be patient. The young man leans in, their lips meeting in a tender kiss. The girl's eyes widen in surprise, her heart soaring. As they part, she playfully waves, saying, "See you later." The young man watches her go, a smile playing on his lips. The young man and the girl arrive at a stunning building, their eyes wide with amazement. "It's amazing," the girl breathes, her excitement palpable. The young man nods, agreeing. "We've arrived. It's here." The girl's face lights up as she jokes. "So this is you two's love." Kaede-san's messages keep flooding in, asking if they're coming. The young man urges his friend, "Hey, Stop standing around dumbfounded and let's go. As they approach the door, it swings open and a cheerful voice greets them. Welcome back, Dark. The girl leans in, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. Would you like me? She whispers, her voice tinged with hope. The young man, caught off guard, snorts in disbelief, his reaction a mix of shock and amusement. Kaede-san's face flushes with determination. Then, I'll have you, Kaede-san, she declares, her voice firm. Yuya-kun's eyes widen in surprise as the girl's words hit him. You want me to eat you, right? She asks, her voice trembles. The girl's voice trembles as she calls out, Yuya-kun? Her eyes widen in shock as she spots the shoes. A welcome kiss here? She exclaims, her cheeks flushing. The young man, startled, turns to face her. Yuya-kun is here too, you know? She blurts out. Kaede-chan peeks around a corner, her eyes wide with curiosity. Kaede-chan, what's up? She calls out, her voice filled with concern. The girl's heart races as she hears footsteps approaching. Wait, she whispers, her voice barely audible. Akiho hesitates, her cheeks flushed as she avoids eye contact with Shinji. The young man presses her, demanding to know if she saw a kiss. Yuya decides to wait in the living room, leaving the tension between Akiho and Shinji unresolved. Kaede-san struggles to contain her excitement, urging the young man not to get carried away. She suggests they join the others for dinner, but the girl admits she doesn't want to. The young man's persistence makes her heart race, and she can't with his charm. The girl confesses that Yuya-kun makes her heart beat so hard. It's unfair. Even though she wanted to make his heart race, she blames him for her feelings. She squeezes him tightly, and he can only agree, overwhelmed by her confession. The young man sighs, admitting he acted on impulse. He asks the girl what he can do to cheer her up, and she playfully demands a kiss. He leans in, and the moment is interrupted by a shocked gasp from someone else. The young man shakes his head, insisting, because I haven't confessed to her yet. You know, the girl teases. A kiss? My first kiss like this? She giggles. Just kidding. We can kiss next time. The young man, blushing, holds her tightly, declaring, Yuya-kun embraces the girl, who exclaims, Hug me, Yuya-kun. He struggles, muttering, God damn it, come on. The girl reflects, we're completely like lovers right now, while he thinks, hugging her before saying, I like her. The girl whispers, just a little longer, like this, her cheeks flushed. Yuya-kun, embarrassed, stammers, it's about time. Her eyes sparkle as she leans closer, and he finally yields. Fine. Shin-kun interrupts, shouting, Hey, Shin-kun. He and others snap photos, declaring, I'll keep it for posterity. The girl and Yuya-kun are shocked. What are you guys doing? The onlookers marvel. Isn't it a masterpiece on the subject of... Akiho-chan beams with excitement, showing off a photo to her friends. It's perfect, she declares, her eyes sparkling. The girl holding the phone asks for the photo to be sent, planning to use it as a wallpaper. The young man suggests they indulge in a rare treat of marbled wagyu. Let's eat meat, he exclaims, his enthusiasm infectious. The girl beside him giggles, playfully teasing him about his exaggeration. Shinji encourages Yuya to be brave and take a leap. After all, you're my pal, Yuya, he says with a reassuring smile. The young man nods, tasting the food and agreeing it's good. The girl munches on her food, declaring it a battle to be more honest with her. I'm eating good food now to restore my energy and prepare for battle, she announces with determination. The young man reminds her to be moderate, but she winks, promising an early... Kaede-san proudly presents a stewed Hamburg steak to Yuya-kun, declaring it the dinner she has made for him. The young man looks on with a mix of surprise and delight, while the girl beside him teases that Kaede-san is really good at cooking. Kaede-san's enthusiasm. Akiho-chan bursts into the scene, playfully punching Yuya-kun and exclaiming, Shh! He seizes him about the first time Kaede-chan treated him to her cooking. The atmosphere is lively as the girl questions if Yuya-kun has any photos from that. The group admires the photos, but Kaede-chan notices that all the shots focus on Hitotsuba-san, leaving the food secondary. Yuya, caught off guard, stammers that he wasn't bragging. Akan teases him further, calling him an ignorant brat. The young man sits at the table, his heart pounding fiercely as he contemplates the Valentine's Day chocolate he has received. He clenches his fist, overwhelmed by the emotions swirling within him. This isn't the time a girl has given him Valentine's Day chocolate, yet Shinji beams with excitement, eager for Valentine's Day chocolates from his beloved girlfriend. The girl, bursting with energy, asks why Shinji isn't nervous. With a grin, Shinji reveals he's curious about the chocolate he'll receive, while the girl playfully. The young man exclaims his eagerness to eat the chocolate, his enthusiasm palpable. Akiho, holding a beautifully decorated box, offers it to Shinji, who hesitates, citing his dislike for sweets. Despite this, Akiho insists, explaining she made it slightly. Shinji's friends tease him about flirting in front of Yuya and Hitotsuba-san, causing him to blush and stammer. Hitotsuba-san reminds Yuya that she's waiting, while Yuya nervously fidgets, hoping Shinji will eat the chocolate she worked hard on. The tension builds as Akiho, with a playful wink, teases Shinji about his nervousness, while Yuya, blushing, shyly asks if it's okay to feed each other. Shinji, caught between his friends teasing and Yuya's earnest request, decides to savor the moment later. The young man marvels at the chocolate cake, noting its intricate layers of sponge, mousse, and cream. Kaede explains the orange cream accents and caramel coating, her eyes sparkling with pride. The girl anxiously asks if the cake suits his taste. Kaede smiles warmly, thanking the young man for his kind words. He nods, savoring the cake's rich flavors, declaring it the best he's ever tasted. Suddenly, another girl bursts in, playfully teasing him for his lackluster food review skills. The girl feels Kaede's emotions deeply, her heart swelling with gratitude. Kaede-san expresses her wish for their relationship to last forever, her voice filled with sincerity. Yuya-kun agrees wholeheartedly, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. The girl stares intently, her expression a mix of determination and curiosity. She asks if she can eat the chocolate cake, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Yuya-kun, surprised by her question, nods in agreement, their interaction filled with playful banter. The girl insists on sharing the Valentine's Day treat with Yuya-kun, emphasizing the joy of eating together. However, she hesitates, worried about the late hour and the sweetness of the dessert. With a determined puff of her cheeks, she declares her immunity to gaining weight. The girl's imagination runs wild as she discusses Kaede-san's unchanged, alluring figure despite her eating habits. She playfully asks Yuya-kun about his preference for her underwear, leading to a moment of shock and embarrassment for her underwear, The girl's enthusiasm peaks as she suggests various colors for her underwear, each choice bringing a new level of playfulness. She spins and poses, imagining the effect of each color on Yuya-kun. His reaction is a mix of surprise and discomfort, culminating in a... The girl decides to bring the cake, urging Yuya-kun to relax and wait. She silences him with a firm gesture, determined to control the situation. With a mischievous grin, she relishes his reaction, slamming the door shut with finality. The anticipation... Yuya-kun's heart races as he stammers. Yu-kun, what are you saying? Hitotsuba Kaede's eyes widen in shock, her mind reeling from the unexpected turn of events. The young man's voice cuts through the tension, declaring, "Here, Kaede-san." Hitotsuba Kaede's face flushes with embarrassment, her heart pounding. Of course my heart would beat hard. Kiss with you, Yuya-kun. You know, she whispers, her voice trembling. The girl's cheeks burn as she realizes the indirect kiss has left her breathless. The young man chomps on the chocolate, his expression thoughtful. I want you to understand as well, Yuya-kun. Hitotsuba Kaede says, her voice tinged with a hint of mischief. The chocolate feels sweeter than before, her heart thumping in her chest. My face is burning. Hitotsuba Kaede's words linger in the air. There's no way you wouldn't be embarrassed. Yuya-kun nods, his mind processing the overwhelming feelings. But that you feel just as much happiness, she continues, her voice soft. The girl's frustration bubbles up. Kaede-san's shock turns to a fierce argument. She accuses the young man of being unfair, her fists clenching in frustration. The young man counters, his voice tinged with desperation, her turmoil of living with the girl he admires. The young man and Kaede-san share a moment of intense emotion. Kaede-san pleads with him not to leave, her voice trembling. The young man and Kaede-san share a moment of intense emotion. Kaede-san pleads with him not to leave, her voice trembling. Kaede-san jumps up in joy, her happiness infectious. The young man, however, feels conflicted, his thoughts troubled by the implications of staying longer. The girl's enthusiasm shines through as she exclaims her joy from the bed. In the quiet of the night, the girl asks Yuya-kun if she can sleep next to him. Yuya-kun, slightly awake, responds with a hesitant agreement. The girl, seeking comfort, moves closer, her request a testament to their deepening bond. The young man and Kaede-san share a tender moment. Their bodies close as they snuggle. Kaede-san's warmth and softness overwhelm the young man, making his heart race. The young man can feel the nervousness in the arms wrapped tightly around his waist. Kaie-san whispers to the young man, her voice filled with happiness and contentment. She recounts the day's events, from the cake she made to the indirect kiss they shared. The young man listens, his heart swelling with affection. The young man reflects on the unfairness of the situation, wishing for more moments like this. He thinks about how he would grant any request if Kaede-san played the baby with a bleeding voice. Kaede-san thanks him for the day, her gratitude evident in her words. The young man and Kaede-san embrace, their connection deepening. Kaede-san teases the young man, telling him how warm and nice he smells. She feels confident that she can sleep better than usual tonight, her happiness palpable. Yoshizumi greets Nikaido with a teasing remark about his flabby face, setting a playful tone for the morning. The classroom buzzes with chatter as students discuss Hitotsuba-san's chocolate cake, its quality sparking curiosity and amusement. Nikio's mind races as he senses bitterness in someone's voice, questioning if it's just his imagination. The girl beside him teases him about his morning demeanor, but Nikio's focus shifts when he notices a tap on his desk. His confusion deepens as he wonders. Nikio's curiosity peaks as he contemplates the box, his classmate explaining that she made it in case he was upset about Hitotsuba-san's chocolate. Despite her efforts, Nikio acknowledges her kindness, though she deems it a wasted effort. The exchange highlights Nikaido's thoughts turn introspective as he mumbles about honesty. His classmate him to put away the chocolate as Kaede-san and Otsuki-san are expected to arrive. The girl insists on avoiding a lover's quarrel, but Nikaido's resolve to Shinji greets Yuya, but Yuya seems distracted, hiding something under his desk. The girl notices Yuya's unusual behavior and playfully teases him about it. Yuya dismisses her concern, but the girl persists, intrigued by his odd morning. Yuya explains that he passed Nikaido in front of the classroom, which left him puzzled. The girl questions if he might have misinterpreted the situation, but Yuya remains skeptical. She then shifts the conversation to the upcoming extracurricular camp, expressing excitement. Kaede-san joins the conversation, her enthusiasm for stargazing catching everyone's attention. She jokingly offers to buy the idea from Yuya, leading to a light-hearted exchange. Yuya and Kaede-san agree to see the stars together, despite being in different classes. Akiho-chan observes the growing affection between Yuya and Kaede-san, noting the envy from other girls. She turns to confront Akiho, who playfully teases her about keeping secrets. Akiho-chan accuses Akiho of breaking a promise. Akiho-chan panics as she realizes the potential misunderstanding, her voice trembling with worry. Now he'll misunderstand me as a possessive girlfriend, she exclaims, her eyes locking with the young man's. The girl, clutching a pile of gifts, demands. The young man, bewildered by the large packages, questions their origin. What in the world are these huge packages? He asks, his curiosity piqued. Nikaido-san steps forward, her smile wide and confident. Amazing, right? She boasts. The girl, blushing furiously, extends a small bag of chocolate to the young man. Here's some chocolate, she stammers, her voice trembling with nervousness. Could it be handmade? He inquires, his eyes widening in surprise. She nods, her cheeks flushing deeper. The young man, touched by the girl's effort, promises, I'll eat it with care. Nikaido-san, observing the scene, muses about the girl's popularity. She's figure is a promising ace of the basketball club, and even her demeanor is dignified. Nikaido leans in, her eyes sparkling with determination. I may look like this, but I'm a girl too, she declares, challenging the young man. Nikaido's words cut through the tension as she adds, being your partner would certainly be hard. Yoshizumi and Hitotsuba-san lock eyes, their expressions a mix of amusement and defiance. Isn't that right, Yoshizumi? Hitotsuba-san teases, her grin widening. Yoshizumi responds with a confident smirk. It's not the kind of... Akiho-chan rushes to catch up with Kaede-chan, her voice tinged with urgency. Don't pull, Akiho-chan. Kaede-chan calls out, her laughter echoing as the bell rings. Yuya-kun watches them go, his cheeks flushed with a mix of surprise and affection. Kaede-san's voice trembles as she pleads. Stop with those cold, scornful eyes. Yuya's shoulders slump under the weight of her words, his face a mask of confusion. It's all your fault, Yuya, she accuses, her voice rising. The young man sighs. The girl sits alone on the bleachers, her shoulders slumped in defeat. Akiho-chan heaves a heavy sigh, her hands clasped tightly over her chest. The classroom buzzes with activity, but her mind is elsewhere, lost in thought. The girl leans against the fence, her eyes distant as she whispers about wanting to be a princess. She realizes it took her a while to understand her feelings for the boy with similar tastes who sits next to her. Her heart aches with a bittersweet longing. The girl regrets giving the chocolate to the boy, feeling pathetic and foolish. She wonders if she should have kept it for herself, her emotions swirling in turmoil. Suddenly, a pair of shoes appears in front of her, and a voice announces, "I found you." Mikado steps forward, his expression serious as he tells the girl, "I knew you'd be here." He explains that he noticed his friend was struggling and couldn't ignore it. The girl is surprised by his presence, her mouth agape in shock. Mikado's determination is clear. Yoshizumi's friend remarks on her recent focus on Hitotsuba-san, but Yoshizumi insists she has been observant. The young man, intrigued, asks if he can pose a question, his tone serious. Yoshizumi, curious, leans in. Mikado stammers, blushing as he tries to articulate his feelings, but Yoshizumi interrupts, insisting she heard him clearly. The tension mounts as Mikado, flustered, pleads for no repetition, his face a mix of embarrassment and desperation. The girl sits quietly, her expression unreadable, as the young man takes a deep breath. He begins to speak, his voice steady, determined to answer the question posed to him. The air between them crackles with unspoken words. Mikado apologizes, his head bowed in disappointment. Yoshizumi, her heart heavy, confesses she already has someone in mind. Mikado, though hurt, finds a strange relief in her honesty, wondering what led to this moment. The girl playfully teases the young man, insisting he stop looking so serious. Despite her lightheartedness, she admits it still hurts her heart. The young man, in turn, tries to brush off the tension with a joke, but the girl's words cut through the air like a sharp reminder. The young man questions if the girl has noticed his strange behavior, hinting at a deeper unease. She asks about Hitotsuba-san, and he admits he's still on the fence. As they lean closer, the girl suddenly pushes him away, her face a mix of surprise and determination. The girl dreams of a romantic situation, imagining being asked out under a starry sky. The young man, sensing her ideal, whispers sweetly into her ear, making her heart flutter. She wants to hear it again, closer, and the young man, caught in the moment. The girl suddenly turns, asking what the young man is doing. He mentions the extracurricular camp, suggesting it's the perfect time for stargazing. Mikado appears, wishing the young man luck and asking her out. The girl thanks Mikado, her mind made up, and the young man feels a... Yoshizumi turns to face the girl, curiosity piqued. "Hey, Yoshizumi," she says, but he brushes it off, insisting it's nothing. The girl, undeterred, reminds him of the return gift for Valentine's Day, her voice filled with playful anticipation. Yoshizumi admits he couldn't convey his feelings, yet he doesn't regret falling for her. The girl, with a warm smile, appreciates his straightforwardness. "I hope we'll always be friends," she says, her words carrying a hopeful undertone as she taps his shoulder gently. The girl sneaks up on Yuya-kun, but he catches her off guard with his attentiveness. How attentive, she marvels, her attempt at surprise thwarted. Yuya-kun, with a playful smirk, teases her about not being able to sneak up on him. Yuya-kun jokes that he can't sneak up and hug her at school, but the girl playfully insists he can pretend not to notice. "I felt a spark," she exclaims, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Despite his hesitation, she encourages him to hug her from behind right then and there. The girl demands a hug with fierce determination, her eyes locking onto Yuya-kun. As they embrace, she whispers his name, a tender moment overshadowed by unspoken emotions. The young man responds with a silent hug, their connection palpable. Shock ripples through the scene as the girl confronts Yuya-kun about chocolate from Mikado-san. Her intuition proves correct. Mikado-san did give him something. The girl's resolve solidifies. She decides to act, her mind racing with possibility. The girl declares her hunger, urging Yuya-kun to go home with her. When he tries to escape, she grabs his hand, insisting they hold hands. Yuya-kun, flustered, refuses to reveal his decision, but the girl's grip tightens, her smile unwavering. The young man sits in the kitchen, staring at the perfectly made chocolates. A note instructs him to microwave them before eating, leaving him in awe of the effort. He marvels at the perfection, questioning the girl's motives behind such a gesture. The young man savors the dessert, declaring it too sweet. Mikado, however, remains unconvinced, her expression sharp as she points out the discrepancy between his words and actions. The tension between them crackles, leaving the young man to ponder her accusation. Kaede-san and Yuya-kun share a playful moment, their interaction filled with teasing and affection. Kaede-san's bold kiss catches Yuya-kun off guard, leaving him flustered. Despite the lightheartedness, the morning of the extracurricular camp looms. The girl expresses her frustration at the limited time they have together, her voice tinged with longing. She dreams of casual moments on the bus, sharing laughter and views with Kaide-san. Yuya-kun echoes her sentiments, revealing his own desire to spend more time. The girl's body reacts to Kaide-san's presence, her heart racing with each encounter. She admits that the feeling has intensified since that day, making it impossible to be satisfied without Kaide-san. Yuya-kun, aware of the growing connection, promises to be careful with his words. The girl teases Yuya-kun, warning him to be careful not to fall for Yuya-kun's trick. Akio-chan excitedly plans for some lively girls' talk on the bus with her. The young man, however, seems indifferent, saying it's fine with him. The young man describes a caring person with a strong mind, who works harder than anyone else. The girl, intrigued, asks how he will talk about her. With a playful, "Let's see," she leans in, making him blush and stutter. The girl playfully wonders what Yuya-kun will say when Yuya-kun asks what he likes about her. Yuya-kun, caught off guard, questions the strange phrasing. The girl, amused, can't wait for the bus ride to start. The girl expresses excitement for the extracurricular camp, while the young man pretends not to hear her. As they approach the bus, she teases him about what Shinji will ask on the bus. The girl reassures him not to cry just because he's separated from Hitotsuba-san. The young man bursts into laughter, unable to contain his amusement. "I told you to get real," he says, "but I didn't expect it to be this much." The girl, clearly flustered, wonders if it was a mistake to stir him up. Akio and Yu's names are tossed around as the young man teases, asking if they want to hear him boast. "Don't be so heartless," he pleads, but the girl remains unfazed. "But brace yourself, okay?" she warns, hinting at a playful retaliation. Listening to Shinji boast about Otsuki-san is torture, the girl admits. "I'll fall for your smooth talk," Shinji teases, but the girl is prepared. "If that's your plan, I'll go a little overboard and boast about Kaide-san too," she counters, ready to play along. The young man, now visibly tired, apologizes profusely. "There's nothing to forgive," the girl reassures him. "You're the one who asked me in the first place." But the tension escalates as the girl exclaims, "I can't take it anymore. I can't stand to listen to it." The young man feels a pang of envy as he watches Hitotsuba-san and her friends. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun overhears their conversations, realizing he didn't expect Hitotsuba-san to be so smitten. Seiyusa-sensei tries to cheer up the girl, offering. Kaie-san greets her friends with a cheerful, "Hey, how was the bus ride?" Akiho-chan stammers, explaining she was listening to music and talking to Akiho-chan. Kaie-san laughs, admitting it was harder to listen to Shinji's boast. Yuya-kun joins them. The girl exclaims she wanted to go to the restroom, causing a commotion among her friends. Kaie-chan teases her, saying there's more to her than meets the eye. Otsuki-san appears, apologizing for the disturbance, but the young man is left wondering what all the fuss is about. The young man ponders if something bad is happening that he doesn't know about. He decides to question Shinji closely, but is interrupted by a loud apology from two other students. They claim it was their fault, leaving the young man even more bewildered. He wonders what all the commotion was about. After arriving at the destination, the group gathers at the manor house to listen to an explanation of the day's schedule. The young man enthusiastically shares the plan to move to a cottage for unpacking and changing, while the girl excitedly wonders what they will make. Scones. In the cozy living room, the young man suggests watching something together, but the girl, engrossed in her phone, expresses her desire for something different. The young man introduces Dachi Shigeki, a baseball club member with a girlfriend younger than them, who attends. Mikao, caught in an English conversation, faces a barrage of questions about her choice to cook. Kaide-san and Otsuki-san declare their intention to cook, leaving Mikado bewildered. The girl, overwhelmed by the mention of couples, glares. The girl reminisces about Kaide-san's cute apron, lamenting her missed opportunity to choose cooking. The young man, visibly shaken, wishes he had chosen cooking too, as the girl, Hitotsuba-san, teases him about his choice. The young man warns Shinji about the dangers of too much sweetness, predicting despair and death. Another character, calm and collected, advises Shinji to chill, his words dripping with experience. The tension escalates as the young man, now visibly. The room erupts in chaos as the young man's words hit home. Akiho and another character express their discomfort, feeling the sting of the young man's blunt advice. The young man, now defensive, retorts that he was only speaking the truth, his frustration bubbling over. The scene shifts. The atmosphere shifts to a more serious tone as the young man, now composed, advises caution against delving too deep. The girl, sensing the gravity of the situation, claps her hands, signaling a change in plans. The young man, addressing Yuya, suggests they meet. The girl teases Yuya, playfully questioning his comment about her maturity and beauty. Yuya, caught off guard, stammers a denial, his cheeks flushing. The girl, amused, leans in closer, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Yuya-kun twitches as the girl whispers, "Wani-san is gonna spoil you so much, okay?" The tension in the air is palpable as she leans in closer, her voice soft, yet filled with determination. The girl's heart pounds with each thump as she confesses to Yu-kun, "When this camp is over, I'm going to love you so much, okay?" Her words are met with a gasp, and the air thickens with unspoken emotions. The group bursts into laughter, interrupting the moment. "That's right, Yuya," one of them exclaims. Kaie-chan steps forward, her expression stern. "No matter how much you love your boyfriend, you should still be aware of your behavior," she scolds. In the kitchen, the atmosphere is warm and inviting. The young man and the girl share a tender moment, their eyes locking with a silent understanding. The warmth spreads through the room, enveloping everyone in a sense of comfort and togetherness. The girl teases, asking if the young man is enchanted by their beauty. He blushes intensely, turning away in embarrassment. Katie-san's teasing continues, leaving him flustered and unsure how to respond. The young man tries to throw up the white flag, but the girl insists they seem to be having too much fun to stop. Her words make him blush even harder, and she playfully covers her mouth, unable to hide her amusement. Kaede-san questions the young man's straightforward nature, noting how easily he says things others would find embarrassing. He mutters his name, feeling the pressure of her curiosity. The girl's frustration builds, and she demands he stop talking. The young man mutters about the skill of someone who made the prettiest high school girl in Japan fall for him. He feels embarrassed, but the girl thinks it's natural and sincere. She wishes someone would express feelings to her the same way, calling Hitotsuba-san lucky. The young man sighs heavily, feeling the weight of the day. He decides he wants to hurry back and take a bath, mentioning that he is the only one in the cottage. His thoughts turn to Kaede-san, whom he wanted to talk to, but she seemed busy, leaving him alone. Under the starry sky, the girl and the young man discuss the decisive match scheduled for the next day. The girl teases him about his nervousness, suggesting he is more anxious about asking her out than the fight. The young man admits his nervousness, unable to sleep. The young man confesses that he came to see Yuya-kun because he couldn't sleep without him in his arms. He pulls Yuya-kun into a tight hug, expressing his need to feel close. The rustling of their clothes underscores the intimacy of the moment. The young man and Yuya-kun find comfort in each other's embrace, feeling a sense of calm. They confess their mutual affection for the hugs, their words filled with tenderness. The scene ends with a quiet thank you, their bond deepening in the silence. The girl teases the young man, recalling his earlier mumbling and hinting at a surprise for the stargazing event tomorrow. She grins mischievously, asking if he will do something special. The young man, caught off guard, stammers in response. The young man admits to himself that he cannot tell her his secret. The girl, standing confidently with her hands on her hips, tells him he'll have to wait and see. She then turns to him, saying she understands and looks forward to tomorrow's surprise. Planning to ask him out, the girl declares she has a full tank of the young man, Yuya-kun, and feels ready to sleep well. She playfully taps his head and they exchange goodnights, looking forward to skiing together the next day. Kaie-san, walking away, muses that it's unfair. On the ski slopes, the girl announces herself as Yuya-kun's personal instructor since he's a beginner. She can't wait to go skiing, and Yuya-kun, blushing, acknowledges her offer. The scene sets the stage for their upcoming adventure. Whispers ripple through the crowd as they notice Hitotsuba-san and Yoshizumi-kun in matching ski wear. Yoshizumi-kun looks stressed, but Hitotsuba-san reassures him, asking if he's scared of skiing. She playfully teases him, reminding him that Hitotsuba-san confidently promises to catch Yoshizumi-kun if he falls, her arms outstretched in a protective gesture. Yoshizumi-kun's face twitches with determination and he insists he's not getting cocky. The tension builds as others watch, ready to intervene. Kaie-san giggles at Yoshizumi-kun's varied expressions, finding the situation fresh and amusing. Yoshizumi-kun denies being shy or angry, and Kaie-san teases him further. With a final giggle, the ski slope awaits them. The instructor offers calm advice, guiding Yoshizumi-kun on how to glide and stop safely. Yoshizumi-kun nods, trying to remember the techniques as he feels a mix of nerves and determination. The instructor reassures him, emphasizing the importance The girl glides effortlessly down the slope, her skis cutting through the snow with a whoosh. The young man watches in awe, his eyes wide with amazement. She slides with grace, leaving a trail of powder in her wake. Yuya-kun's friends clap in excitement as he soars through the air, arms outstretched. Yuya-kun, they cheer. But the girl's face turns red with embarrassment, and she slams into the snow with a thud. Are you? Oh! Yuya-kun shakes with nervous energy, his hands gripping the ski poles tightly. It's scary, but I gotta go, he declares, launching himself down the slope. The girl cheers him on. Yuya-kun, you're good at this, as he gains speed. The girl focuses intently on her technique, turning with surprising ease. It seems to be working. Keita-san, she exclaims with delight. Keita-san, she exclaims with delight. Keita-san laughs, encouraging her to try turning left next. You are doing great. The young man falls with a thump, and Keita-san rushes to his side. Keita-san, she exclaims, her voice filled with concern. The tension in the air is palpable as she helps him rise, their eyes locking in a moment of shared worry. Keita-san's frustration is evident as she shouts, Why do you try to speed up? Yuya-kun stammers, Am I bad? His face flushed with embarrassment. The girl's anger simmers, but she softens, whispering, Stupid Yuya-kun, as they sit together. Yuya-kun pleads, Give me some space for now, as Kaede-san hesitates, her resolve wavering. He promises, I won't do it again, and she relents, patting his head gently. Don't act like a baby, she scolds, but her heart. Kaede-san's eyes sparkle with determination as she declares, You have to hug me and pat my head until I'm sissified when we get home. Yuya-kun's face turns serious. A man is as good as his word, he vows, their bond strengthening with each promise. The young man exhales deeply, his breath visible in the cold air. He decides to repay his friend for the evening, despite the awkwardness of the ski trip. The girl, however, is overwhelmed with happiness, her smile radiating warmth. Hiei-san and Akiho discuss the young man's behavior, noting the sweet atmosphere he and his friend created on the slopes. The young man protests, claiming it was all a misunderstanding, but the girl insists they were unmistakably flirting. The young man's friend screams in frustration, unable to approach the pair due to their intense bond. He accuses them of being lovebirds, sparking a debate about their relationship status. The young man, feeling suffocated, decides to step outside for fresh air. Under the starry sky, the young man gathers his courage to confess to Kaede-san. His friends watch anxiously, hoping for a positive outcome. He reassures them, believing Kaede-san will understand his feelings. Kaede-san calls out to Yuya-kun, asking where Otsuki-san and the others are. Yuya-kun explains that they are watching TV until the last minute, but Kaede-san reveals she came out first to see the stars. Frustrated, admits she came out. Puzzled by Kaede-san's mention of wedwings, asks for clarification. Kaede-san insists she wants to know what they said to Yuya-kun. Yuya-kun, exasperated, explains that people are calling them wedwings, and that it seems to be about them. Yuya-kun reassures Kaede-san that it doesn't matter what others say. Kaede-san extends her hand, offering it to Yuya-kun. They clasp hands, a moment of connection between them. Yuya-kun smiles, acknowledging the bond they share. Walking side by side, Yuya-kun and Kaede-san reflect on their situation. Kaede-san notes that they can't hide their connection without coats, but she finds it nice every now and then. Yuya-kun agrees, looking forward to stargazing. Kaede-san and Shinji stand under the starry sky, their conversation hinting at a shared past. They decide to move to a hill for a better view, leaving the others behind. The group, including Otsuki-san, heads off together, their steps light and their spirits high. Akiho and the young man assure Yuya that they will leave when the time is right for the wedwings to be alone. Yuya, caught off guard, protests that they are not a married couple. The young man, unfazed, teases Yuya further, leading to a playful. The young man and Akiho observe that Hitotsuba-san seems restless. They speculate that Akiho is trying to calm her down in her own way. The tension eases as they decide to check on Hitotsuba-san and Shinji, their conversation filled with a mix of concern. The young man expresses his desire to see the starry sky while flirting with Otsuki-san. Yuya, not to be outdone, suggests they split up. Akiho eagerly agrees, pulling Yuya along with her, leaving the others to their own devices under the night. Daichin admits she wants to see something alone with Yuya-kun, her cheeks flush with excitement. The young man, Yuya-kun, reveals he also desires the same, emphasizing the need for privacy. Kei-chan's heart races as she responds, her voice tinged with anticipation. The young man bids farewell to Keita-san, promising to meet her later. Keita-san nods hesitantly, her eyes following him as he walks away. The scene shifts to a serene night sky, with Keita-san and Yuya-kun standing together, their backs to the world. Keita-san leads the way, excitedly sharing that the hill ahead is perfect for stargazing. Yuya-kun follows closely, his curiosity piqued. Hurry, Keita-san reassures him it's the best spot, her enthusiasm infectious. Keita-san yanks Yuya-kun, her voice filled with concern. See, what do you mean? It's okay, she demands. Yuya-kun, still holding her, admits it's not okay at all, his grip tightening. The girl thanks him, heart pounding with relief. Kaede pleads with tears in her eyes, her voice trembling with urgency. The young man, however, insists they hurry for stargazing, leaving Kaede conflicted and blushing. Shocked and torn, Kaede resists, pushing him away with a mix of reluctance and determination. The young man reveals there's something he wants to discuss, his expression serious and earnest. Kaede, with a mischievous glint in her eyes, suggests they continue where they left off after the talk. The tension between them thickens as they prepare for the impending conversation. Kaede urges the young man to hurry, her anticipation palpable as she looks forward to their important talk. The young man, surprised by her eagerness, wonders if she has discovered his intention to ask her out. Their journey through the starlit path is the girl marvels at the breathtaking starry sky, her excitement evident as she points out the winter triangle. The young man, captivated by her enthusiasm, agrees, his gaze shifting between the stars and her radiant face. The night sky becomes a canvas for their Yuya confesses his happiness under the starry sky, declaring he couldn't be happier. Keita-san, touched by his words, the same deep connection. The young man's heart clenches as he realizes the depth of his feelings for her. Kaede-san's eyes widen with surprise as she asks if he truly means his words. Yuya, sensing her doubt, reassures her with a gentle touch and a heartfelt plea. He admits there is something he couldn't tell her until now, setting the stage for a deep. Kaede-san nods, promising to listen to Yuya's confession to the end. Yuya, feeling a surge of courage, decides to lay bare his emotions. He confesses that the thought of her rejecting him drives him to the brink, revealing the intensity of his feelings. Yuya shares how he has grown to like Kaede-san beyond his control, learning new things about her that deepen his affection. He admits his fear of losing her, explaining how the more he liked her, the more scared he became. The girl, overwhelmed by his words, blushes deeply. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun confesses his feelings to Kaede-san, revealing the depth of his affection. He admits that his initial admiration has grown into a profound love, more intense than any other. Kaede-san listens intently, her heart racing. Yuya Yoshizumi declares his love for Kaede-san, his voice filled with earnestness and vulnerability. He explains that his feelings have evolved from mere admiration to a deep, consuming passion. Kaede-san's eyes. Yuya-kun confesses his love for Kaede Hitotsuba, his declaration echoing in the night air. Kaede-san's hands clench tightly, her heart pounding as she processes the intensity of his words. The moment hangs heavy between them, charged with. Under the starlit sky, Kaede-san and Yuan-kun embrace, their bodies pressed close in a tender moment of connection. The world fades away as they find solace in each other's arms, their hearts beating as one. The girl apologizes for the wait, her eyes sparkling with joy. Yuya-kun, overwhelmed, confesses that he could finally hear her feelings. The young man reassures her, saying it was worth the wait. The girl declares her love for Yuya-kun, her voice filled with sincerity. Hitotsuba Kaede, blushing, confesses her feelings, saying she loves him too. The night sky witnesses their heartfelt exchange. The girl playfully teases Yuya-kun, calling him a thickhead. Yuya-kun, still processing her words, asks if that's all. Kaede-san, with a gentle smile, explains that she's very happy when he hugs and pats her, but there's more to it. The girl embraces Yuya-kun tightly, her eyes closed in contentment. This is what I mean, she whispers, as they share a tender moment under the stars. The scene captures the depth of their connection. Kaede-san confesses her love to Yuya-kun, her eyes brimming with affection. Yuya-kun responds with equal fervor, declaring his happiness under the starlit sky. The girl thanks him, her gratitude mingling with the night's gentle breeze. Yuya-kun faces a bold request from the girl to sleep next to him. She leans in, her voice soft yet insistent, suggesting a secret switch with Akiho-chan. Yuya-kun hesitates, his mind racing with the implications, while the girl presses on. The young man declares his exclusivity, vowing to be the only one to see Keita-san in her pajamas. Keita-san, taken aback, questions his possessiveness. Yuya-kun, caught off guard, stumbles over his words, his cheeks flushing with a mix of. The girl admits her vulnerability, confessing she doesn't want others to see her in her pajamas. Yuya-kun acknowledges her feelings, his heart swelling with understanding. As they prepare to return, she leans in for one last kiss, her lips barely brushing his ear The girl gasps in shock as she spots two figures in the distance. Her friend, equally surprised, points and whispers, "There they are." Suddenly, the girl bolts forward with a determined, but is immediately halted by a jolt. Her friend urgently. Akiho-chan slams her hands on the ground, exclaiming, "Why did you interrupt us when it was getting very exciting?" Kei-chan, blushing furiously, admits, "Kei-chan, I never thought you'd be so bold." The young man, unfazed. The young man chuckles, saying, "Well, that's thanks to you." Towards, "Don't come and interrupt the best part, okay?" The girl, flustered, demands, "Aren't you embarrassed?" Yuya-kun, exasperated, pleads, "Geez, come on." The young man pats Katie-san's head, confessing, "But Katie-san, I'm more disappointed that I can't kiss you." Katie-san, blushing, mutters, "It's embarrassing that they almost saw it, of course." As the two girls leave, one remarks, "You can say that again." Kaede-san and Yuya-kun walk hand in hand under the starry sky. Kaede-san asks if she can sneak in, but Yuya-kun firmly tells her it's not possible. The tension between them is palpable as they face the reality. Kaede-san demands a good morning kiss from Yuya-kun, reminding him of their promise. When he hesitates, she playfully hits him, exclaiming how cruel he is. The urgency of the moment escalates as they realize they will be late for school if they don't hurry. Yuya-kun kisses Kaede-san, leaving her flustered and confused. He asks why her face is turning red, and she stammers, trying to regain her composure. In his turn, Kaede-san demands that Yuya-kun take responsibility and marry her, to which he. The young man and woman rush through their morning routine, with the woman expressing gratitude for the man's patience. Yuya-kun checks the time for them to hurry. The tension of their rushed morning culminates as they slam the door shut, ready to face the day ahead. The young man decides he must support his family, refusing to rely on Kaede-san for everything. He realizes the terminal exam is crucial, and Kaede-san insists they study hard together. Determination fills their eyes as they prepare for the challenge ahead. The young man reveals he was asked to succeed Kaede-san's father as president of Hitotsuba Electric. With resolve, he declares he must graduate from university and conquer the upcoming terminal exam. The city skyline looms in the background. In the rain, Kaede-san notices the young man's shoulder will get wet and pulls him closer under her umbrella. She urges him to lean in, shaking the umbrella to shield them from the downpour. Their closeness grows as they navigate the storm together. The girl exclaims that she doesn't want to miss a chance to legally cling to the young man. Kaede-san advises him to use his own umbrella, but the girl teases them about sharing an umbrella so early in the morning. The young man, unfazed, jokes that their closeness may. The girl to Yuya-kun, declaring it's good to be happy. Akiho, overhearing, exclaims her joy at starting the day with him. Suddenly, Keita interrupts, suggesting they should share an umbrella too, much to Yuya-kun's surprise. Kaede-chan discusses her preparation for the terminal exam, confident despite the extensive material. Akiho praises her insights, and Kaede-chan suggests a study meeting together. The girl eagerly agrees, excited about the prospect. The girl enthusiastically proposes a study meeting at Kaede-chan's house, but another student suggests their house instead for better concentration. They debate inviting Ai-chan, considering her academic standing. The girl decides to ask her later, determined. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun expresses his surprise at being invited to the study meeting but agrees to join. The girl questions his sudden interest, wondering if he's serious. Yoshizumi Yuya-kun expresses his surprise at being invited to the study meeting but agrees. Aine Kaido decides to keep their living arrangement a secret, explaining to Hitotsuba-san that she told everyone they live rent-free thanks to Kaede-san's mother. The young man, intrigued, expresses interest in seeing Hitotsuba-san's mansion. Aine Kaido bows deeply, pleading for leniency as Ai-sensei promises to go easy on her. The scene shifts to Ai-sensei blushing, realizing Yoshizumi called her by her first name. Yoshizumi, equally flustered, acknowledges the moment. The boys gather in the gym, excited despite the rain forcing them indoors for basketball instead of their planned outdoor soccer. The girl observes the boys' usual behavior, noting their enthusiasm. As she leans against the railing, the rattling of basketballs underscores the Nikaido teases Yoshizumi about the boys' excitement over seeing girls in gym clothes. Yoshizumi retorts, denying any personal excitement. Nikaido playfully suggests it would be different if the clothes belonged to Hitotsuba-san. Yoshizumi feels the weight of the moment as the young man questions her seriousness. With a determined look, she declares her resolve to take the game more seriously. The gym echoes with the sounds of practice as the young man watches her, intrigued by her newfound focus. The girl steps forward with confidence, urging her friend to watch closely and cheer her on. Her eyes sparkle with determination as she prepares for the game. The young man observes from the sidelines, his expression a mix of curiosity and anticipation. Yoshizumi's slam dunk sends a shockwave through the gym, leaving her opponents in awe. The young man celebrates her success, praising her skill. Despite the praise, Yoshizumi remains humble, acknowledging the gap between herself and the basketball team. The girl's impressive performance catches the attention of her peers, who marvel at her talent despite not being part of the basketball team. She resolves to push herself even further, driven by the recognition. The young man watches, realizing the depth of her dedication. The girl decides to go all out in class, her determination clear as she shoots the basketball. The ball flies through the hoop with a satisfying flap, and her teammate cheers, "Good." "Another one," the girl insists, her eyes locked on the basket. The basketball bounces with the rhythmic bam, bam, as the player dribbles with fierce focus. "I'm going for it," she declares, her eyes narrowing. The ball slams against the floor and her teammate whispers, "I knew you'd do it," as she prepares for the next. The player leaps with all her might, her body colliding with the backboard in a loud, "Bam! Dead body," she groans as she falls to the ground. "Over my," her opponent shouts, trying to block her path, but the player's determination is unshaken. The player shouts, "Shoot!" She jumps, but realizes she jumped too high. The sound of a crash echoes through the gym, and the onlookers gasp in shock. The player lands with a thud, her face a mix of pain and surprise, while her teammate Nikaido-san winces in pain as the girl rushes to her side, asking if she is okay. Nikaido-san reassures her with a smile, insisting it's just a sprain. The girl, visibly worried, pats Nikaido-san's shoulder, trying to comfort her friend. Nikaido-san tries to ease the girl's concern, explaining that the pain will subside with ice and rest. The girl, still apologetic, accepts Nikaido-san's reassurance. As they prepare to leave, Sensei offers to accompany them to the infirmary. Yuya suddenly announces he's heading to the restroom, leaving Shinji in a state of shock. Yuya, sensing Shinji's distress, quickly tries to cover his tracks, urging Shinji to lie to the teacher. Shinji, overwhelmed by the pressure, Yoshizumi approaches Nikaido, noticing her discomfort. Offering his shoulder, Yoshizumi suggests they head to the infirmary together. Nikaido, grateful for the support, accepts his offer. Meanwhile, Yoshizumi's friend questions his sudden change. Yoshizumi stumbles, and the young man quickly grabs her, steadying her balance. "Uh-oh," she murmurs, realizing her momentary weakness. The young man reassures her, explaining he only held her because she lost her balance from the pain. The young man apologizes to Yoshizumi, acknowledging he might be bothering her. Yoshizumi, with a hint of concern, wonders if she can manage. The young man suggests they try, and Yoshizumi agrees, despite the difficulty. "All right," she says. Yoshizumi's face flushes as the young man suggests a plan. "Yeah, it's what you think it is," he confirms, his voice tinged with urgency. They decide to hurry to the infirmary, and Yoshizumi, with a slight blush, agrees to the plan. The young man prepares to carry Yoshizumi, instructing her to hold on tight. "All right," Yoshizumi responds, bracing herself for the journey. As he lifts her, she thanks him, her voice a mix of gratitude and apology. "Sorry, Yoshizumi," she adds. Nikaido decides to stay with A-chan a little longer, despite her initial insistence that he can leave. The young woman pleads with him, her voice tinged with urgency. Nikaido relents, promising to explain the situation to A-chan's teacher. Yoshizumi-kun steps in, offering to stay with I-chan while Nikaido attends to other matters. The girl, visibly relieved, thanks him for his kindness. Yoshizumi-kun nods, determined to support her through her injury. Seiusa-sensei enters the scene, her voice firm as she instructs I-chan to see a doctor for her sprain. I-chan, though reluctant, agrees to follow the advice. The young man, sensing her discomfort, offers to assist her, earning a playful rain. Ai-chan's friend inquires about her leg injury. Ai-chan admits it still hurts, but reassures her that it's manageable. The friend expresses concern, suggesting a visit to the doctor. Ai-chan, ever the determined athlete, acknowledges the Kai-sensei beams with enthusiasm, promising exceptionally crunchy carrots and declaring herself the greatest. Yoshizumi, however, warns Hitotsuba-san that too much leniency might cause Yuya-kun to slack off. The girl expresses her concern for Yuya-kun's relentless studying, hoping he can relax. The other girl suggests a study meeting in the classroom after school, where they can even ask the teacher questions. The group agrees, finding the plan beneficial and full of advantage. Otsuki-san tases Shinji, demanding more praise and a bottle of juice. Shinji, amused, agrees to the idea of studying together in the classroom after school. Meanwhile, another character remarks on Shinji's girlfriend, calling her a real Kei-sensei confidently states she will teach Yuya-kun both at school and at home. She tries to reassure someone not to worry, but the scene shifts to a moment of tension as Shinji is confronted about a past incident during a stargazing event at an extracurricular. Takeo-san confronts Hitotsuba-san, demanding an explanation for her actions. The girl reveals a deep, personal reason tied to her feelings for Yuya-kun and their first kiss. Shockwaves ripple through the group as Katie-san and others react with. The weekend arrives, and Akio-chan celebrates with a stash of snacks, declaring they will aid in their studies. Kagura-kun joins in, reminding Akio-chan of her barely passing grade, urging her to take her studies seriously. The mood shifts as they all acknowledge the importance. Hitotsuba-san offers to supervise Akiho-chan, allowing the others to focus on their studies. Akiho-chan, motivated by the prospect of homemade lasagna, vows to study hard. Hitotsuba-san then turns to Yuya-kun, promising Akan and Shin-kun struggle with their studies, feeling overwhelmed by the workload. Despite the challenges, they find strength in each other's company. The young man suggests they continue studying together the next day, praising their efforts as a pen clatters to the floor. Kaide-chan and Akan share a tender moment, acknowledging their feelings for each other. Kaide-san thanks Akiho, recognizing the clarity of her emotions. Akiho responds, understanding Kaide's sentiments, but suggests they conclude. The young man and the girl decide it's best to leave their friends alone, noticing the sweet, dreamy look one of them has. As the clock strikes 18:10, they realize it's time to head home. Despite their reluctance, they agree it's the only way to calm the situation down and to. Kaide-san and Akiho embrace, their hearts thumping in unison. Kaide-san and Akiho embrace, their hearts thumping in unison. Kaide-san and Akiho embrace, their hearts thumping in unison. Kaide-san and Akiho embrace. Yuya-kun and the girl bid farewell, exhausted from the day's events. Yuya-kun collapses on the couch, sighing in relief. The girl suggests using the leftover meat sauce for spaghetti, and Yuya-kun agrees, despite the repetition. They settle on their dinner. The girl giggles mischievously, leaving Yuya-kun flustered and on the ground. She decides to prepare dinner, allowing him a moment to recover, but her playful teasing continues, promising more because of his adorable reaction. Ai-chan faces a dilemma as her friend suggests a ride to school, worried about her minor injury. Reluctantly, she accepts the offer, fearing the embarrassment of being seen. The conversation shifts to practical concerns as they discuss the logistics of her getting to school. Ai-chan's excitement builds as she mentions potentially meeting Yoshizumi-kun. Kaide-san warns her about the potential chaos if Ai-chan's mother meets Yoshizumi. The scene cuts to Ai-chan playfully waking up Kaede-san, who apologizes for the interruption. Concerned about Yuya-kun's well-being, the girl urges him to rest. Yuya-kun reassures her, but she remains worried, offering to stay by his side. Their attention shifts to a mysterious car parked at the gate, sparking curiosity and speculation. Ai's mother bursts into the scene, startling everyone with her sudden appearance. Yoshizumi freezes as Ai's mother orders him to take Hitotsuba-san to school quickly. The urgency in her voice leaves no room for hesitation. Aoi Nikaido introduces herself with a warm smile, immediately putting everyone at ease. Yoshizumi, still a bit flustered, responds politely. Nikaido thanks him for being Ai-chan's friend, her gratitude evident in her words. Kaie Hitotsuba steps forward, declaring her friendship with Nikaido-san. The girl's enthusiasm is contagious as she giggles and offers to help Ai-chan. Yoshizumi, caught off guard, can only nod in agreement. Aizen trusts Yoshizumi and Hirotsuba-san with Ai-chan's care, her faith in them clear. With a playful wink, she drives off, leaving the trio to their own. Ai-chan, still a bit overwhelmed, pleads for them to take it easy on her. Hirotsuba-san expresses disbelief at the idea of Hyour's mother, finding her unique and fun. Hyour, however, sighs, feeling depressed about the daily routine until his recovery. With a kind gesture, Hyour offers to hold. Kaede-san questions Yuya-kun's strength, only to find herself being playfully squeezed. Yuya-kun, embarrassed, protests as they walk through the school corridor. Despite his insistence on walking alone, Kaede-san pulls him along, leaving him. The girl sits alone, lamenting her lack of hobbies, love, and money. She wonders about her future, feeling a deep sense of isolation. As she reflects on her friend's happiness, she questions why these thoughts plague her now. Sarano Kokoro and Miyamoto-san realize their stark differences. Kokoro is gloomy with few friends, while Miyamoto-san is cheery and sociable. Despite their contrasting lives, Miyamoto-san whispers to Kokoro. The girl confidently declares that knowing the correct reading of the kanji is easy, thanks to her extensive reading. However, her smugness shatters when she realizes Sarano Kokoro remembers her introduction from the start of the school year. Panic sets in as she curses. Sarano Kokoro beams with joy, revealing that remembering the girl's introduction makes her happy. The girl, flustered, accuses Sarano of being mean for not recalling anything else about her. Despite the tension, Sarano Kokoro extends a friendly hand. The girls reminisce about their enduring bond from school days to adulthood, despite the distance and busy lives. The girl reflects on Sarano Kokoro's free spirit, which brings her comfort. Yet, she admits her own tendency to clash with everyone. The girl vents her frustration over Sarano Kokoro's carelessness, citing missed birthday messages and sudden disappearances. Despite her anger, she acknowledges her own failure to maintain contact. In a moment of resignation, she declares, "It's fine, whatever." The young man's mind races with disbelief. He can't fathom the girl being considerate, especially since she never discussed romance. Suddenly, the clock ticks ominously as he realizes he has just turned 30, and the weight of time hits him hard. The girl bursts through the door, her voice urgent as she shouts, "Open up!" Her friend's shock is palpable, questioning if this is really happening. The scene shifts to the girl, now breathless, calling out for Sora. Her tone they mix of relief and surprise. The girl sits in confusion, asking why and what's happening. A rabbit-like figure appears, adding to the mystery. Another girl enters, laughing nervously and apologizing for the disturbance, her smile masking an underlying tension. The newcomer thanks her for having her, revealing she has brought all her luggage. The host's surprise is evident as she stammers, noticing the room's mess. The newcomer suggests cleaning up while casually asking for beer, her thirst taking precedence over the chaos around them. The girl bursts into the room, exasperated. 30 minutes ago I was sound asleep, she shouts, clutching a drink. Outside, the darkness looms and she exclaims, "It's 12 a.m. The young man sits on the floor, wheezing. "Yelling out of nowhere like that is gonna make me pass out," he groans. The girl, unfazed, retorts, "You shouldn't be so sad on your birthday of all days." The tension between them is palpable. The girl demands, "Can you just leave me alone?" The young man, defiant, replies, I'm sorry. But his apology is met with her declaration, "I'm never talking to you again." The scene escalates as she grabs him, and he cries out, "Go away." The girl chokes the young man, warning, "Don't go thinking I'm gonna let you assault me with my dark past and live." The young man, struggling, asks, "On that note, how's work been lately?" The girl, caught off guard, stammers, What's the problem?" The girl muses about cake, her thoughts drifting to memories of the past. In the classroom, she sits quietly as another girl excitedly approaches with a treat. The atmosphere is nostalgic, as if revisiting old times. The girl's friend exclaims in surprise at the sight of the cake, questioning the wisdom of eating it with bare hands. Despite the soggy texture, they both indulge in the sweet treat, finding joy in the simple pleasure of sharing cake at school. The friend's teasing turns playful as she teases the girl for her reaction, insisting that the cake is her present. The girl, now flustered, retorts with mock indignation, but the connection between them is evident in their banter. Later, the girl reflects on the memory, finding it both amusing and cringeworthy. She smokes a cigarette, recalling the soggy cake and the antics that followed. The memory lingers, a bittersweet reminder of their shared past. The girl bursts into laughter, declaring, "You're so stupid." The young man, unfazed, teases her about whipped cream, while she insists it's her 30th birthday, a moment she'll never forget. The girl's playful banter and the young man's teasing create. Nikaido offers to carry the young man's bag, explaining the next class is in another room. The young man, surprised, accepts the offer, but Nikaido's concern about the dangers of walking with crutches and textbooks leads to a humorous exchange. Yoshizumi presents a cute otter-themed item, catching the girl's attention. She blushes, thinking Yoshizumi might think it doesn't suit her, but Yoshizumi reassures her it's popular on social media. The girl's embarrassment and Yoshizumi's playful defense. Kaede-san admires a backpack, contemplating its purchase, while Nikaido offers to buy something for her. Kaede-san considers a limited-time shop opening and decides she can manage the cost. Nikaido's surprise at the offer leads to a reflection on a past Valentine. The young man playfully teases his friend, asking if they look covetous. His friend reassures them with a laugh, dismissing the comment as a joke. Suddenly, the class bell rings, jolting them back to reality. A colorful, patterned bag tumbles across the floor, its contents spilling out. The bag rolls to a stop, leaving behind a trail of scattered items. Kaede interrupts the two friends, reminding them that lunch break is almost over. The young man agrees to leave, but the girl pouts, clearly disappointed. Kaede notices her reaction and acknowledges it with a soft, "Kaede-san?" Nikaido offers to take the crutches from Kaede, who is struggling to walk. Kaede accepts with a quiet apology, and the two friends exchange a glance, silently communicating their concern. Kaede-san watches as Yuya-kun ascends the stairs, her voice softening as she calls out his name. The young man ahead pauses, his expression thoughtful. Kaede-san then turns to her friend, apologizing and explaining that she will go ahead. Yoshizumi questions the meaning behind Kaede-san's words, while the young man beside him remarks on Hitotsuba-san's straightforwardness. Yoshizumi feels a sudden understanding of her vulnerability despite her many strengths. Hitotsuba-san. The young man decides to keep his thoughts to himself, unsure if they are merely his imagination. The scene shifts to an empty staircase, the echo of his words lingering in the air, hinting at a deeper, unspoken truth. Top in her grade, the girl shares her study secrets, emphasizing daily preparation and review. Her friend, second in her grade, listens intently, realizing the importance of consistent effort. Their conversations underscores the dedication required. Kiyo's classmates marvel at her dedication, realizing her study habits contribute to her success. Yoshizumi compliments her hard work, and Kiyo offers to share her notes. The camaraderie builds as they encourage each other, setting a positive tone for their upcoming exam. Kaede-san's unusual behavior catches everyone's attention. She eagerly demands to be fed during lunch, sitting on someone's knees even during breaks. The class finds her actions endearing yet slightly embarrassing. As they notice the stares and whispers, the tension in the air thickens as the text declares, "Kaede-san is acting weird." This statement hangs heavy, hinting at an underlying issue that disrupts the usual harmony of the group. Izumi expresses gratitude, acknowledging the trouble he has caused. The girl, touched by his words, pats his back, reassuring him that she should be the one to apologize. Their hands clasp together in a silent pact, a moment of connection that speaks volumes. The young man yells, "Chill," as the girl and the young man beside her look on in shock. The girl then pouts and says, "Pout," while the young man beside her exclaims, "Blush." The girl realizes it's late and says, "Yikes, it's already this late." Let's put the flirting aside because it's time to go home, and claps her hands, adding, Yeah. The girl asks Yuya-kun, "Isn't it about time we took a bath?" She offers to wash his back and suggests they have ice cream for refreshment, saying, "Sugar is essential for your brain to function." Kaede-san proposes, "Let's feed each other," but the girl firmly says, "No." Kaede-san then slams the door and demands, "Yuya-kun, I want you to feed me." The girl calms Kaede-san down, saying, "When you're done." The young man decides to focus on his studies, hoping it will help Kaede-san feel better. But the ice cream they plan to share remains untouched in the freezer. Kaede-san emerges from the bath, her spirit still absent, and retreats to her comforter, falling asleep. The young man reflects on the challenges of living with Kaede-san, realizing the daily grind of cooking, housework, and schoolwork is surprisingly tough. He clenches his fist, determined not to give up, and vows to do his best, with Kaede-san by his side. Yuya-kun tugs at his jacket, and the girl reassures him, telling him not to worry too much. Lately, he has been a little distant, and her gentle words aim to ease his concerns. The car screeches to a halt as A-chan leans out, playfully reminding Yoshizumi-kun to take care of her as always. The girl in the car teases her, but Yoshizumi-kun, embarrassed, tells her to go home. Ai-chan's mother honks the horn, and Yoshizumi reassures Nikaido that her friend's actions prove she cares, while Hitotsuba Kaede feels overwhelmed by school life. Kaede decides to lift her spirits and move forward, noticing that Kaede-san seems unusual. Kaede-san explains that she has a lot on her mind, but they must proceed at Nikaido-san's pace. She offers to hold Yuya-kun's crutch, noting its size and weight. Yuya-kun gratefully declines, insisting he can manage it himself, as Kaede. The class bell rings, and Kaede-san suggests she go ahead to avoid causing more trouble. Hitotsuba-san agrees, squeezing her bag as she prepares to leave. Kaede-san decides to go ahead, promising to see Hitotsuba-san during break, who nods and Yoshizumi calls out to the young man, who admits Hitotsuba-san seems strange. The girl questions if they had a fight, but Yoshizumi denies it. She advises that some things need to be communicated through words, urging them to talk it out. The classroom clock ticks past 10, and the young man and girl sit silently, their focus on the books. The young man turns to his friends, his expression troubled. "They're late," he says, his voice tinged with worry. "It's disturbing, but it is what it is." Yoshizumi's friend notices a change in him, and Yoshizumi admits, "Well, you're right. I got hard to stay by Kaede-san's side." His friend teases, "You're like a totally different person," while Yoshizumi reflects on Kaede-san's impressive. The young man's phone vibrates, and he checks it, finding a message from Kaede-san. He hesitates, then decides, anyway, no one came in the end. Didn't receive any messages? His friends look around, puzzled by a sudden sound, but he dismisses it, impatient to talk about Kaede. The girl announces she's going home early to prepare dinner, and the young man receives a message from Kaede-san. He decides to leave as well, saying, "Let's wrap it up for today." His friend suggests he talk to Hitotsuba-san about it when he gets home, and the young man agrees, ready to. Kaede-san scolds Yuya-kun for leaving his uniform lying around again, emphasizing the need for responsibility. Yuya-kun apologizes, claiming he planned to put it away later. Kaede-san, however, reminds him about something he wanted to say that morning. The girl reassures Kaede-san that she has already put the uniform away, preventing any wrinkles. Kaede-san acknowledges this but presses on about the morning's unfinished conversations. The girl asks what Kaede-san wanted to say, leading to a moment of hesitation. Kaede-san tells Yuya-kun that she noticed his recent improvement in studies and encourages him to keep pushing for the finals. As she turns to leave, a voice calls out to Yuya, asking if he is okay. Yuya looks surprised, unsure of the sudden. A classmate teases Yuya and Kaede-san about their usual affectionate behavior, noting the absence of hand-holding that morning. Yuya quickly denies any comparison to Shinji and Otsuki-san's cleanliness. The classmate backs off, acknowledging Yuya's recent dedication. The young man resolves to attend a national university for financial independence, despite the rigorous study it demands. Mikado-san questions his choice, sensing the burden of his father's debt. Determined, the young man vows to excel academically, aiming. Mikado-san sets a high bar for the young man, insisting he aim for the top 5 in the exam. The young man pleads for leniency, but Mikado-sensei challenges him to work harder. With resolve, the young man agrees to the demanding goal, marking the end. Yoshizumi's injury heals, and she walks freely, drawing praise from her peers. Kai-san, however, appears less frequently in the after-school study sessions, leaving early most days. The young man notices the change, feeling a growing distance in their conversation. Excited classmates invite Yuya-kun to karaoke, eager to hear him sing. Kaede-san joins in, but Yuya-kun declines, citing prior plans. Kaede-san's expression shifts, hinting at disappointment as Yuya-kun steps. Kaede-san grabs Yuya-kun, shaking him urgently. "Tell me, Yuya-kun, answer my question." The young man winces, clearly in distress as Kaede-san demands answers about that person. The girl confronts Yuya-kun, asking if he has met someone before. Yuya-kun admits he is going to see Taka-san, who called him after a long silence. Memories flood the girl's mind, and she gasps, realizing the significance of this reunion. Yuya-kun speaks to Taka-san on the phone, catching up after a long time apart. Taka-san reassures him that he is doing well, but Yuya-kun's tone shifts as he mentions Rika's desire to see Taka-san again, hinting at deeper connections. Harumi expresses her worry for Yuya, pleading for him to come soon. A young girl, eyes wide with anticipation, calls out, Yuya Oni-chan? The scene ends on a cliffhanger, leaving the audience eager for the next chapter. The doorbell rings, and the young man steps outside, raising his finger in a gesture of silence. The girl opens the door, and the young man greets her with a calm demeanor, setting the stage for an unexpected encounter. Yuya's sister leaps into his arms with a joyful shout, nearly knocking him over. She exclaims, Yuya Oni-chan, with boundless energy, while Yuya struggles to maintain his balance, his face a mix of surprise and amusement. Taka-san glares fiercely, declaring, I'll never let you marry my Rika. The young man, unfazed, retorts with a smirk, You gotta beat me. The tension escalates as Taka-san's punches rain down, but the young man remains resolute, determined to prove himself. The girl invites the young man in, assuring him, I'll answer as best as I can. He responds with a serious expression, By the way, there's something I want to ask you. The air thickens with anticipation as they prepare to delve into crucial conversations. The girl, holding a teacup, looks up in surprise. A return gift for White Day? She asks, her eyes wide with curiosity. Yuya-kun blushes as the girl questions him. Isn't it a gift for the girl you live with? She teases, and Yuya-kun admits, Yes, I'm free, but the girl then advises, Then you have to choose wisely. The girl offers to accompany Yuya-kun to the store. That would be great, Yuya-kun exclaims, grateful for her help. Harumi-san smiles, saying, Then I'll get ready, so wait a moment. A younger girl excitedly suggests playing a game with Yuya Oni-chan. Yeah, Yuya Oni-chan, I love you, she shouts joyfully. And Yuya Oni-chan agrees. Okay, the girl then. The school building looms large, its windows reflecting the cloudy sky. An air of anticipation hangs in the air, setting the stage for the events to unfold. Yuya-kun listens intently as the girl suggests a watch as a gift. He realizes that it could make her feel like he's always with her, and his face lights up with understanding. The girl then enthusiastically proposes they look for it together. Two fists pump into the air, determination etched on their faces. The young man declares, Then I choose a watch, with a grin, while his companion cheers. Sounds great. Their enthusiasm is palpable. The girl hums happily, shopping bags in hand, as she enjoys a day out with her friends. They agree that it's good to go shopping without the boys around, noting the freedom and camaraderie it brings. The atmosphere is light and joyful. Kaie-chan speaks her mind, insisting that some truths can only be conveyed through words. She turns to the young man, urging him to express his thoughts. Meanwhile, Yuya-kun's relentless studying leaves him exhausted, oversleeping every night. Akiho-chan, visibly distressed, shakes the girl, demanding to know why Yuya-kun has changed. The girl, hesitant and fearful, struggles to find the courage to ask Yuya-kun about his feelings, her anxiety palpable. The young man questions the difficulty of dating someone like Hitotsuba-san, a girl of unmatched beauty and academic prowess. His friend agrees, acknowledging the challenge. Outside, Hitotsuba-san overhears their conversations, her heart sinking. The girl admits the complexity of dating Kaede-san, her expression a mix of frustration and confusion. Kaede-san, sensing the girl's turmoil, looks up, puzzled by the sudden change in atmosphere. The girl insists that pushing herself and asking properly is better. Kaede, however, remains skeptical, believing there must be more to his story. Her friend adds that there must be a good reason why he said it was hard to go out with her, while Kaede looks thoughtful. Kaie agrees to talk to Yoshi about it when she gets home. Her friend suggests visiting a popular donut shop in the mall, but Kaie's attention is suddenly drawn elsewhere. She calls out Yoshi's name, her voice tinged with surprise. Kaede watches as Yoshi interacts with a woman in a store, her expression a mix of shock and confusion. The young man notices her gaze and turns, his face showing a hint of nervousness. Kaede's heart jolts, the realization hitting her hard. Kaie's friend suggests getting closer to understand the situation, but Kaie firmly refuses. She cannot believe that Yoshi would be with another woman. The tension between them thickens as they grapple with the unexpected turn of events. Kaie-chan stands in the vast Ekoom shopping mall, her voice barely a whisper as she calls out, Kaie-chan. The emptiness of the space amplifies her uncertainty and hope. A small, furry creature peeks out from behind a stack of mailboxes, exhaling relieved. Its eyes sparkle with mischief, having just narrowly avoided detection. Yuya-kun checks the time, realizing it's late, and decides to head home after buying dinner. A message from Katie-san pings his phone, catching him off guard as he steps into the evening air. Yuya Yoshizumi takes a deep breath, trying to calm his racing heart. His hands tremble as he reads Kaie-san's message, his mind racing with possibilities. After that, he thinks, his eyes wide with anticipation. The young man's phone rings urgently, jolting him into action. He decides to call Kaide-san first, but the line is dead. Panic sets in as he realizes he needs to find someone else to ask for help. A voice on the phone exclaims, "You're late, Yoshi." The young man, Yoshi, stammers an apology while the caller, Otsuki-san, questions his whereabouts. The tension builds as Yoshi tries to explain his situation. Yoshi's confusion deepens when he hears that someone saw him with Harumi-san in a watch store. The girl on the other end of the call explains that this is why Kaide-chan misunderstood. Yoshi's mind races to clear up the misunderstanding. The girl hesitantly asks Yoshi what he was doing, suspecting his intentions for White Day. Yoshi admits he was preparing a surprise for Kaide-chan, leading the girl to react with a mix of shock and realization. The young man struggles with uncertainty, unable to reach Kaide-san. His mind races with possibilities, but still, he hesitates. A sudden ringtone shatters the silence, bringing a glimmer of hope. The girl's voice cuts through the tension. "Hello, is this Yuya-kun?" The young man's heart leaps at the sound, but his relief is short-lived. The call disconnects abruptly, leaving him in stunned silence. Otsuki-san offers words of encouragement, assuring the young man that Kaie will understand. Her confidence lifts his spirits, and he nods in determination. The sky stretches endlessly above, a backdrop to his renewed resolve. The young man ponders his next move, his thoughts a whirlwind of confusion. An unknown number appears on his phone, and he answers with a cautious, "Hello?" The line is met with a beep, leaving him to wonder about the caller's identity. Sakurako-san urges the young man to hurry back home to Kaie, assuring him that they will overcome this challenge together, and thanks her, feeling a surge of determination. He ends the call, ready to face Kaie. The young man reflects on the conversations, realizing that the root of the problem is a lack of communication. He acknowledges that new couples often face such misunderstandings and decides to address the issue head-on. With renewed resolve, the young man rushes towards Kaide's home. He vows to talk to Kaide-san and listen carefully to her feelings, determined to resolve their misunderstanding. Standing before Kaide's door, the young man formulates his plan. He decides to start by talking to Kaide-san and understanding her perspective, ready to take steps towards reconciliation. The girl asks Yuya-kun if she is a nuisance. Her voice trembles with uncertainty as she grabs his arm, seeking reassurance. Yuya-kun's eyes widen in surprise at her sudden question. The girl's face contorts with pain as she asks if it is hard for Yuya-kun to be with her. Her grip tightens on his arm, her voice quivering with vulnerability. Yuya-kun's expression shifts to one of shock and confusion. The girl's eyes fill with tears as she asks if she is a burden to Yuya-kun. Her voice breaks, the weight of her insecurities pouring out. Yuya-kun's mind races, struggling to find the right words to comfort her. The girl's words hang heavy in the air, the silence between them thick with unspoken emotions. Yuya-kun's heart aches, realizing the depth of her doubts. He knows he must act quickly to ease her pain. The young man confesses his feelings of loneliness, admitting that seeing Nikaido-san's kindness towards the injured has left him feeling isolated. He tries to push aside his jealousy, reminding himself of his need to support his friend, but the weight of his emotion is heavy, and he struggles to keep them. The girl reveals her inner turmoil, confessing her hatred for feeling jealous. She has been trying to cheer the young man on for his hard work, but her feelings have been a constant burden. She hopes that once Nikaido-san recovers and the finals are over, Kaide-san confronts the young man, accusing him of treating her unwelcomingly. He is stunned by her words, unable to believe that he has made her feel this way. She demands his attention, revealing her desire for intimacy and connection. The young man is left speechless, realizing the girl expresses her deep desire to spend the rest of her life with the young man, to attend the same university, and to have a wedding and honeymoon once they graduate. The young man, moved by her words, thanks her for her feelings. He acknowledges her. The girl confesses her struggles, revealing she feels like a flimsy piece of paper. She tells Yuya-kun about her terrible parents who left behind debt, leaving her with nothing. Yuya-kun, shocked, asks what she means, and she admits she doesn't have anything right now. Kaie-san protests that Yuya-kun is working hard at soccer and studies. He counters that he's nowhere near her or Nikaido's level. Yuya-kun admits there are many better at soccer than him, but his goal is to climb as high as possible. He clarifies he's not. The girl hesitates, saying she doesn't want Yua-kun to feel lonely, but also desires him to understand her efforts. If he tells her he's sad and lonely, she fears she'll make him her top priority, which she believes is no good. Yua-kun pleads with her. Yua-kun confesses that being with her might make him feel lonely, yet he still asks Kaede-san to stay with him. He needs her to see the effort he's putting in, just like when she saw him practicing alone. Kaede-san, moved, whispers his name. The girl confesses her emotional turmoil, admitting she was so caught up in herself that she wasn't thinking about the young man at all. The young man, visibly frustrated, sighs and concedes with a reluctant, "Ugh, fine." Kaede-san reveals her deepest desires, wishing for more attention and affection. She confesses that the events of that day made her incredibly happy, yet she acknowledges the challenges of seeing both the present and the future. The young man, touched by Yoya, stands resolute, acknowledging the long and steep path ahead. The girl, holding his hand, expresses her admiration for his single-minded effort and her desire to continue supporting him. Yoya-kun, moved by her words, asks what he can do. The girl pleads with Yakun, urging him not to take everything on himself and to let her hear his voice too. Yakun, touched by her concern, promises to make his voice heard loud and clear. With a heartfelt, "Okay," he agrees, sealing their bond with a Kaede-san expresses her anticipation, saying, "Yeah, I look forward to it." Yoya-kun responds with determination, "Let's make a fresh start from today." Their eyes lock with a shared sense of resolve. The girl realizes, today's the 13th, so she hands over a gift saying, "But here's your White Day gift." The young man, surprised, asks, "What's this?" She explains, "What's tomorrow's date?" He nods, understanding the significance. The young man reflects. It's as if he then imagines, "I'm putting a ring on her at our wedding." The girl, blushing, says, "Oh, okay." He thanks her, and the scene concludes with a sense of future promise. Yoshizumi receives his test results, and a classmate remarks, "It looks like you got a good result, Yoshizumi." He clenches his fist, saying, "All right." The young man's face shows a mix of relief and determination as he processes the news. Kaede-san pleads for a break, fearing the prospect of buying merch every time. The girl teases, suggesting she will tutor him for every exam. The doorbell rings, interrupting their playful banter. The girl slams the door open, exclaiming, "This is awful, Shin-kun." Her expression is a mix of shock and urgency. The young man behind her echoes her distress. "Oh no, this is bad." Yoshizumi presents a mug as a belated Valentine's Day gift, hoping it's the otter merchandise the girl desires. The girl's hopes are dashed when she realizes it's not a backpack, but she gratefully accepts it, promising to cherish it. The girl and the young man rush outside, their hearts pounding with anxiety. The urgency in their movements and expressions suggests a looming crisis they must address immediately. Yoshizumi's voice trembles with emotion as he recalls a recent conversation. The young man realizes the depth of Yoshizumi's feelings, his expression shifting to one of concern. He leans back in his chair, pondering the reasons behind Yoshizumi. The girl confesses her envy, her voice tinged with a bittersweet longing. The young man, unfazed, responds with a nonchalant, "Sure." As she turns to leave, the door clunks shut behind her, marking the end of their exchange. The girl decides to leave first, her back to the young man as she exits the room. The sound of the door closing echoes in the silence, leaving the young man to his thoughts. The young man looks up, his gaze fixed on the spot where the girl stood moments ago. He murmurs a quiet farewell, "See you tomorrow," his voice carrying a hint of melancholy. The young man decides to stay, declaring, "I'll wait until it's finished." The girl cheers him on, "Way to go, Shin-kun," while another character tumbles out of the room in a flurry of movement. Shin-kun apologizes profusely. Sorry, as Kaede-chan reminds him, "Yoshi, you can leave first once Kaede-chan arrives." The girl accepts with a simple, "Okay." Shin-kun's friend remarks, "Thanks to that, I always have fun," while another notes, "She's just like a sudden tornado." The scene shifts to a solitary figure on a rooftop, lost in thought. The young man's hand twitches as he murmurs, "Ai-chan." His expression hardens, reflecting a mix of determination and contemplation. Akiho stands on the rooftop, her voice tinged with concern as she questions the young man. Yoshizumi and his friend were supposed to be heading home, but Akiho's intuition tells her something is amiss. The tension in the air thickens as she realizes. Ai-chan's eyes widen in surprise as Akiho expresses her worry. "You might not have noticed it yourself," Akiho continues, her voice softening. but you looked pretty sad when you left the classroom. Ai-chan's defenses crumble, and she admits, I couldn't sit. The young man's face flushes a bright red as the girl beside him giggles softly. Your face is bright red, she teases, her laughter echoing in the open air. The young man's embarrassment is palpable, his cheeks burning with a mix of shyness and surprise. The girl hesitates, her voice trembling as she stammers. It's not like I have feelings for him or anything. Akio presses on, her words cutting through the air. You wish you could hang out with him alone together, right? The girl's shoulders slump in defeat, her thoughts laid bare by Ai confesses her feelings, imagining a date at the zoo with him, but the moment shatters when she realizes the specificity of her thoughts. The girl next to her remarks on the strangeness, while Ai decides to forget it, her emotions a tangled mess of happiness and confusion. The young man reflects on his past relationship, acknowledging the comfort and joy they shared. He admits to realizing his feelings too late, unable to step forward, his regret palpable as he leans against the railing, lost in thought. Ai-chan steps forward fearlessly, contrasting Ai's hesitation. Ai admits she didn't want to ruin their relationship, her resolve wavering as she contemplates the differences between them. The tension builds as Ai's inner conflict deepens. Yoshizumi's happiness with Hitotsuba-san pierces Ai's heart, the sight causing her pain. She confesses her desire to be by his side, her love so strong it breaks her heart. The girl beside her affirms Ai's feelings, their conversations revealing. Ai-chan confesses her love for Yoshizumi, but her heart aches with the fear of hurting him. She squeezes her hands, determined to suppress her feelings. The young man reflects on Yoshi's kindness, knowing he would always prioritize Kaie. Akiho advises Ai-chan not to force herself to get rid of her feelings. Ai-chan hesitates, unsure if she wants to see Yoshi in a relationship. Akiho gently pushes her to confront her emotions, urging her not to bottle them up inside. Ahio tells Ai-chan not to keep her feelings bottled up, suggesting that letting things take their course might be the best approach. Ai-chan looks at Ahio, her expression a mix of surprise and contemplation, as she considers this advice. Akio acknowledges the pain and difficulty Ai-chan will face, but encourages her to take her time and sort things out slowly. Ai-chan, surprised by Akio's seemingly cruel words, realizes she doesn't need to try too hard to bottle her feelings up. She decides to embrace. The girl offers Yuakun a reward for his hard work, promising a massage. Yuakun, surprised, receives the unexpected offer with a jolt. The girl's determination is clear as she prepares to give him a massage. The girl checks the water temperature, ensuring it's just right for Yuakun. He confirms it feels great, and she begins scrubbing his back with care. The sound of rubbing and huffing fills the air as she focuses on her task. The girl suggests using her body to clean Yuakun's, leading to a moment of surprise. She squeezes and chews, showing her commitment to the unusual cleaning method. Yuakun's expression reflects shock as he processes the situation. The girl asks Yuakun if the massage feels good, and he confirms it does. She expresses relief and hopes he will enjoy the experience. The girl's efforts are evident as she continues to massage him, ensuring his comfort. The girl stammers, her cheeks flushed, as she asks if Kaide-san is going to wash her. Kaide-san confirms with a determined nod, declaring it's just as the girl imagined. The girl's eyes widen in shock, her mind racing with the implications. Kaede-san insists it's her turn to wash the girl's back, her voice firm and resolute. The girl, overwhelmed, can only stammer a weak protest, her nerves frayed. Kaede-san silences her with a gentle but firm command. The girl, flustered and embarrassed, stammers a refusal, her voice trembling. Kaede-san, undeterred, presses on, demanding fairness in their roles. The girl, caught between her shyness and Kaede-san's insistence, finds herself kneeling. Kaede-san's determination clashes with the girl's hesitation, creating a tense standoff. The girl, torn between her embarrassment and Kaede-san's firmness, finally acquiesces, her shoulders slumping in reluctant acceptance. The scene captures a moment of vulnerability. The girl's eyes widen with surprise as she exclaims, "Wait, huh?" Yuya decides, "All right, let's do this." His determination is palpable as he prepares to take action. The girl, however, feels overwhelmed, admitting, "I can't wash her." The girl confronts Yuya, asking, "What's wrong, Yuya-kun? Didn't I wash you from head to toe with all my heart?" Her voice carries a hint of accusation. Yuya remains silent, his face flushed with embarrassment. The girl persists, "Aren't you going to do the same?" Yuya clenches his fists, his resolve firming. "Fine," he says, his voice steady. The girl, blushing, leans in and whispers, As for me, I want you to touch me. Her confession is bold and Yuya's heart races. The girl's breath catches as she whispers, Yuya-kun. Yuya's touch is gentle, but you can't help but giggle. You're touching my upper arm too much. It tickles. Her laughter is infectious, and Yuya's expression softens, enjoying the moment. The young man gulps, visibly nervous as he prepares to wash the girl. Kaede-san, blushing, accepts his offer with a hesitant thank you. The girl's heart races as she braces for the intimate task ahead. Kaede-san insists that only a quick wipe is necessary for the flank, but Yuya-kun's grin suggests otherwise. The girl's protests are met with playful teasing, and she yelps as Yuya-kun taps her side. The tension between them crackles with a mix of embarrassment. The girl pleads for Yuya-kun to stop tickling her, but he refuses, claiming it's all for not washing thoroughly. She struggles against his playful assault, her laughter mingling with exasperation. The young man's persistence leaves her breathless and flustered. Yuya-kun grabs the girl, silencing her protests with a firm embrace. She admits that he hasn't washed her body thoroughly yet, her voice tinged with reluctant acceptance. The scene captures a moment of vulnerability and connection between them. The young man lunges forward, splashing water as he shouts, "You can't do that!" The girl giggles mischievously, squeezing the bottle with a determined grin. Shocked, the young man gasps, realizing the precarious situation they're in. The young man asks, puzzled, "Why'd you come here, even though we're in a big bath?" The girl, with a playful smirk, replies, "It's because I want you to hug me from behind." The other girl exclaims in disbelief, "Is that bad?" The young man, caught off guard, can only... The girl laughs softly as she tightens her embrace. The young man, flustered, admits, "No, every day's a bit. I won't be able to hold back in many ways." The girl, her eyes sparkling with joy, asks, "What type of swimsuit would you like to see?" Taka-san sits on the bed, phone in hand, as a voice on the other end jokes, "It's a joke, Taka-san. That's my usual greeting." The caller insists, "Since you have my number saved, you should know right away that it's me." The young man, surprised, asks. Yuya receives a call about an unexpected situation. The young man learns that someone wants to leave their daughter with him. Shocked, Yuya processes the news, realizing the unusual request. Kaede-san emerges from the bath, responding to Yuya's knock. She listens as Yuya explains the situation, mentioning a call from Taka-san. The girl's expression shifts as she understands the gravity of the request. The door slams shut as Yuya steps back, startled by Kaede-san's sudden appearance. She teases him, suspecting he might have come to peek. Despite the awkward moment, Yuya clarifies his intentions, mentioning the call from Taka-san. Kaede-san reveals that the father plans a 3-day wedding anniversary trip, leaving his daughter in their care. Yuya contemplates the situation as Kaede-san asks for his thoughts. The young man prepares to respond, the decision weighing heavily. The young contemplates the age of a first grader, while the girl questions if she is Rika-chan, Omichi-san's daughter. The young man's confusion deepens as he ponders the true intentions behind the girl's desire to stay, suspecting dreams. The girl, after much deliberation, decides to take on a challenge. Surprising the young man, Taka-san, another character, expresses gratitude, which the young man reciprocates, promising to return the favor. The scene shifts as the young man asks if she... The girl, with a gentle plea, asks Yuya-kun to hug her, her fingers intertwined in a delicate gesture. Yuya-kun, startled, recoils with a swift motion. The young man, now puzzled, wonders why she is sulking, his confusion evident. Floor tiles stretch into the distance, a silent witness to the unfolding drama. The emptiness of the space amplifies the tension, leaving the viewer to ponder the next move in this intricate dance of emotions. The next day, excitement fills the air as the girl shouts, "Yay!" She announces her stay at Yuya Oni-chan's place, her enthusiasm infectious. "Let's play a lot," she giggles, her joy palpable. Rika-chan clings to the young man, who assures her, "Sure, Rika-chan." Suddenly a voice shouts, "Stop," as the scene shifts to a plea. "Take good care of her, Yuya." Rika-chan, with folded hands, thanks Yuya-kun for listening. Kaede Hitotsuba-san receives Rika's extra clothes and a heartfelt request to care for their daughter. "The pleasure is all mine," Kaede responds, touched by the trust. The conversation turns to a gift from Yuya-kun, leaving Kaede curious, and the girl exclaims, "It's my treasure," as she shows off her wristwatch. "Yes," she confirms, her pride evident. Kaede, blushing, admits it was worth thinking about, while the girl teases, "Stop, this is embarrassing." The girl exclaims in shock, her eyes wide with disbelief. Rika-chan, triumphant, declares she has won and demands the young man's lap. The young man, taken aback, tries to downplay the situation, but Rika-chan insists on her prize. Rika-chan's spirit flares as she mashes the controller, determined to win. The young man watches with a smirk, acknowledging her effort. Suddenly, the game ends with a dramatic explosion, leaving Rika-chan victorious and the young man defeated. The young man's eyes widen in surprise as Rika-chan claims her prize, settling into his lap with a victorious grin. The girl, still recovering from the game's intensity, protests the arrangement. The young man, caught off guard, questions the sudden invasion of his person. The girl, now in the young man's arms, demands a tight hug from behind, her voice filled with playful insistence. The young man complies, wrapping his arms around her as she settles in. Kaede Wani-chan, observing the scene, bursts into protest. Feeling Kaede-san embraces Yua-kun tightly, but her resolve falters when she notices he's holding her game controller. Rika-chan protests, calling Kaede-san's behavior childish, but Kaede-san remains determined. Yua-kun, caught in the moment, wonders. The game screen explodes with a "bah" as Yuya-kun selects a heavyweight character for the first time. Rika-chan, surprised, hesitates, but then agrees to a rematch, promising her lap to the winner. Yuya-kun, excited, declares. The young man playfully punches the girl, who exclaims in surprise. Despite the playful hit, the girl resolves to do her best, even if it means getting serious. The young man then hugs the girl, who reacts with a startled "eep." The girl shakes uncontrollably, insisting it's nothing and that the young man's actions aren't enough to distract her. The game reaches its climax with a kablooey as the girl declares victory. The young man, now holding the girl, urges Kaede to. Kaya demands a rematch, declaring she will win and reclaim Yuya's lap. The girl insists the previous match doesn't count, calling it unfair. Yuya, confident, tells them both that if he wins, they must get along. The girl, crushed by Yuya's strength, admits she had no idea he was that powerful. Yuya-kun, you're too merciless, she groans. He retorts, never taking it easy on any opponent, leaving her to huff and fret. The girl points excitedly at a poster, wanting to see that movie. Taka-san explains it's due to his home's influence. Rika-chan, noticing the girl's serious face, asks what's wrong. The girl decides to pick up the reserved tickets while the others get drinks. The young man suggests ordering a medium popcorn to share, offering Rika-chan a small one. Rika-chan wonders if Kaede really doesn't want popcorn, then suddenly realizes something. She whispers to the young man that she doesn't want popcorn either. Kaede Wani-chan exclaims with excitement. Of course, Kaede Wani-chan. Rika-chan, amused, comments, as expected of Rika-chan. You're very perceptive, huh? The young man, caught in the middle, realizes he's the center of their play. The girl declares with determination, the one who will sit next to Yuya Oniya-chan is me. Her eyes lock onto Yuya with a fierce glare. I'll choose to take him. The tension builds as she shuffles the papers, her resolve unwavering. Yuya, seated between the two girls, muses. So I ended in the middle? Rika-chan, observing the situation, thinks, Kaede-san picking on Rika-chan, how childish. The atmosphere thickens with unspoken competition. The girl leans in, whispering, somehow, this feels like a different kind of excitement, right? Yuya, caught off guard, responds, yeah. The girl's eyes widen with a mix of surprise and anticipation. Kaede Wani-chan and Yuya On-e-chan sit closely, their hands intertwined. The young man's face flushes with embarrassment as Rika-chan bursts into the scene, her expression a mix of shock and determination. Kaede Wani-chan. Rika-chan's grip tightens on Yuya-kun's arm, squeezing with a force that leaves him gasping. Yuya-kun looks like he's in pain. Please let him go, another voice pleads. Rika-chan refuses, her resolve unwavering. No, I won't be tricked. Rika-chan's grip loosens slightly as she turns to Kaede-san, her voice softening. Kaede-san, why are you looking away? She asks, her heart aching. Kaede Wani-chan fiddles with her fingers, her gaze fixed elsewhere. If I let go, Yuya-chan won't. The tension in the air is palpable as Rika-chan's eyes fill with tears. I want to hold hands too, she exclaims, her voice breaking. Kaede Wani-chan's expression softens, a hint of understanding crossing her face. I understand how you feel. The girl poses a hand-holding practice, hinting at a deeper connection with Yuya. Rika-chan, intrigued, asks if the girl also wants to hold Yuya-kun's hand. The girl, blushing, wonders what the proposal entails. Her curiosity piqued. Yuya reassures Rika-chan, extending his hand for a gentle hold. The girl, apologizing for her selfishness, bows deeply to Yuya Onie-chan. Rika-chan, beaming, thanks Yuya Onie-chan, her joy evident. The girl squeezes Yuya's hand, recalling the warmth of holding her parents' hands as a child. She finds the moment comforting, sharing her sentiment with Kaede-san. Kaede-san, touched, admits she feels the same, their bond strengthening. The girl, eyes sparkling, suggests the hand-holding as a practice for their future, her determination clear. Rika-chan, noticing the growing intimacy, playfully warns them not to get too lovey-dovey around her, her playful scold lightening the mood. The young man decides to buy crepes for his friends, who excitedly order their favorite flavors. He heads to the crepe stand, determined to get their treats. The girl watches him go, wondering if he will manage to get the crepes quickly. The young man reaches the crepe stand and is surprised by the long line. He realizes he is the only male customer there, feeling out of place among the female customers and couples. Determined, he decides to buy the crepes quickly and leave. The young man finally receives the crepes, feeling exhausted from the wait. He shivers in the cold, hoping he hasn't kept his friends waiting too long. Meeting them outside, he hands over the crepes with a relieved smile, glad to have completed his mission. The young man asks his friends to wait until he gets back, explaining that his hands are full with the crepes. The girl questions if it's a phone call, but he assures her he will return soon, focused on delivering the treats. The young man's voice trembles with confusion. A phone call? He questions, his mind racing with possibilities. Yuya's eyes widen with surprise as he hears the news. Yuya-kun, a girl calls out, her voice filled with urgency. Kaede-san and Rika-chan are gone, he replies, the weight of the situation settling in. Kaede-san decides to act swiftly. I'll go to the general counter and ask them to make an announcement about the lost child, she announces, taking charge of the situation. Rika-chan's friend nods, her hope flickering. The young man calms Kaede-san, his voice soothing. Sorry she surprised you, he says, trying to gather more information. I'm sure she headed toward the theater, a passerby informs them, adding to the mystery. Kaede-san's mind races, questioning the young man decides to go with the girl, his resolve firm. His hand shakes as he clenches it, the tension palpable. The girl agrees, and they set off together, their steps echoing in the vast space. Rika-chan sprints alongside the young man, her breath heavy. She calls out to him, her voice strained. They reach the cinemas, the young man's expression a mix of concern and determination. The girl scans the crowd, her eyes searching frantically. She realizes she can't find the person she's looking for. The young man joins her, his voice filled with urgency as he questions where she could be. The young man asks if anyone is accompanying Rika Omichi-chan, his voice tinged with worry. Kaede One-chan appears, her eyes wide with surprise. The young man's attention locks onto her, calling out Rika-chan's name in shock. The young man leans forward, his voice filled with determination. Let's stick together from now on, he declares. Kaede One-chan and Yuya Onie-chan share a moment of regret, for leaving on their own. The girl suggests they take a photo together, reminding them that time is limited. After all, we were able to see you again, she says with a smile. The young man nods, understanding the importance of the moment. The girl calls out, Yuya-kun, as she points excitedly. Yuya Onie-chan turns around, his expression a mix of surprise and curiosity. The scene shifts to a snowy backdrop, emphasizing the urgency of their reunion. The girl urges Yuya Onie-chan to hurry, warning that the photo shoot will end if they don't move quickly. Yuya Onie-chan responds with a determined okay, and begins to ascend the stairs, declaring, I'm coming. The third night arrives, and the time for Taka-san and Harumi-san to pick up Rika-chan is almost here. Kaede-san and Yuya Onie-chan share a moment of intense concentration as Kaede-san declares it unfair to charge in with a bomb during invincibility. The young figure bursts through with a triumphant rumble, announces, Daddy's back. Rika-chan's excitement is palpable as she calls out. The tension escalates as Taka-san steps forward, and a voice warmly welcomes him back. The scene shifts to a more intimate setting where Taka-san. The girl waves goodbye to Yuya Onie-chan and Kaede One-chan, her voice filled with joy as she promises to play again soon. The farewell echoes through the air. See you. We welcome you anytime. Enthusiasm is infectious. The young man questions the sudden announcement of an overnight trip to a hot spring. The girl explains that her father wishes to see him, her expression serious. Do you understand what this means? She asks, the weight of her words hanging in the air as the scene fades to be. Kaede reassures Yuya-kun, insisting that his mother will support him. Despite her encouragement, Yuya-kun remains anxious, his heart throb. Kaede chuckles, questioning if her words are supposed to reassure him, as she reveals she's never seen. The girl shakes her head, denying Kaie's reassurance. She explains that Kaie-san is the beloved only daughter of the Hitotsuba family, a fact that adds weight to their situation. The tension between them thickens as they grapple with the implications of their shared living arrangement. Yuya-kun's parents were overjoyed when he asked to live with Kaede-san. The girl reminds him of this, urging him to calm down. Yuya-kun, overwhelmed, covers his face, admitting the thought of living with a male classmate scares him. The girl insists. Kaede-san's mother, Sakurako-san, was initially reluctant to help but was convinced by Kaede-san. The girl explains that her current life began when her father accumulated massive debt. Kaede-san saved her by convincing her parents to accept her, despite it being. Kaede-san burst into the scene with a fierce declaration, vowing to protest any interference. The young man, visibly shaken, clutches his chest and pleads for Kaie to spare him the pain. Kaie, undeterred, assures him that any consequence would be minor. Kaie and the young man walk side by side, their conversations interrupted by a hesitant voice. The girl calls out to Kaie, her tone tinged with uncertainty. Kaie turns, acknowledging the interruption with a calm demeanor, ready to address the newcomer. The girl giggles, questioning the strangeness of the situation as the young man nervously adjusts his jacket. Kaede steps in, her words a mix of endearment and playful teasing, urging the young man to embrace his new look with confidence. The young man still flustered. The girl beams with excitement, complimenting Yuya-kun on his stylish appearance. Kaede, joining the conversations, remarks on the passage of time since their last meeting. Yuya-kun, touched by the attention, reassures the girl that her hair looks perfect. Kaie greets her mother with a grin, but the reunion quickly turns tense. The young man, Yuya, steps forward to introduce himself, his voice steady and polite. Kaie's mother, however, seems skeptical, her words dripping with sarcasm. Hitotsuba Kazuhiro extends his hand, introducing himself as Kaie's father with a formal greeting. Yuya responds with a firm handshake, his expression a mix of respect and determination. The weight of the moment hangs heavy as they exchange. Yuya enthusiastically declares his pleasure at meeting Hitotsuba Kazuhiro, his handshake firm and his smile bright. The young man's energy is palpable, but a hint of uncertainty flickers in his eyes as he blinks, processing the gravity of the situation. The young man and woman walk down the corridor, their steps purposeful. The man suggests they finish checking in, mentioning that dinner will be ready soon. The woman reassures him with a gentle touch, her words calming his nerves. The girl declares, "I'm by your side," her eyes locking with the young man's. The young man responds with a firm, "Right," their resolve unshakable. The woman encourages Yuya-kun, "Don't hesitate to have your fill," while another girl suggests, "Feeding sounds nice." Yoshizumi-kun's eyes widen in surprise as the tension builds. The young man asks, "I have a question for you," to which Kaede responds, "Yes." The woman reassures him, "If you're the man she chose, then I trust that everything will be fine." The father exclaims, "As her father, I am overjoyed by that." But his expression shifts as he declares, "That's precisely why I must daringly ask you." The young man's hand twitches in anticipation. The young man leans against the wall, his expression serious. "Think about Kaede?" he asks, his voice carrying a weight of unspoken thoughts. The scene shifts and the sound of a heartbeat echoes, hinting at the tension and anticipation that follows. The young man turns to face another, his gaze intense. "What do you think about Kaie?" he inquires, the question hanging in the air. The other's eyes narrow behind his glasses, a silent acknowledgement of the gravity of the moment. The young man's hand clenches. Kaede Hitotsuba's image fills the frame, her beauty and grace undeniable. "She's beautiful," the narrator reflects, with a pretty smile and a high-achieving spirit that makes her truly perfect. The revelation that she is known as the prettiest high school girl. The girl sits confidently, her words revealing a newfound understanding. "I learned something from spending time with Kaede-san," she says, her expression softening. The young man realizes that Kaede is not so different from him, teasing and laughing just like any other girl. Kaede-san's words resonate deeply, promising unwavering support. The young man feels a surge of determination, vowing to become independent for her sake. His resolve hardens, knowing he must rely on his own strength to make her happy. The young man confesses his reliance on Kade-san in another, acknowledging his inexperience. Kade-san listens intently, her expression a mix of concern and resolve. The tension between them thickens as they face the challenges ahead. The young man declares his determination, emphasizing Kade-san's importance in his life. His words cut through the air with a firm resolve, echoing his commitment to stand on his own. Kade-san's eyes widen, sensing the gravity of his declaration. The girl bursts into laughter, her joy infectious. She leans in, hugging the young man tightly, her excitement palpable. "Hey, how do you feel now?" she asks, her voice filled with genuine curiosity and happiness. The young man confesses his love, declaring it stronger than any other. The girl responds with equal fervor, her heart echoing his sentiments. Their eyes lock, a silent promise of forever. The young man laughs, promising a future drink together. The girl nods, acknowledging the moment's significance. She advises against overworking, urging to cherish their high school years. The young man confesses his love, his voice trembling with emotion. His heart swells, her reply matching his intensity. She whispers his name, a tender moment between them. The young man leans in, his eyes closed in anticipation. The girl's cheeks flush, her heart racing. They share a tender moment, their lips almost touching. The girl clings to the young man, her face buried in his shoulder. The moment is intimate, charged with unspoken emotions. They stand in front of a window, the world outside blurred and distant. Yuya-kun hesitates at the edge of the onsen, his cheeks flushed with uncertainty. The girl beckons him with a playful smile, her words inviting. "Come on in, there's a spot for you right here," she says, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Kade-san pouts, demanding the young man say it's not because of the onsen, but because he's with her. He responds with a heartfelt thanks, admitting he feels relaxed because of her presence. The night sky above them twinkles, a sickness to their growth. The girl smiles softly, her words a gentle rebuke. "That's my line," she teases, thanking Yuya-kun for his understanding. She finally grasps why he chose to work hard, realizing his desire to become independent and make her happy on his own. Kaede vows to mature quickly, apologizing to Yuya for making him feel lonely. She promises to grow up fast and do her best to ensure he never feels alone again. Yuya, moved by her words, pledges to support her every step of the way. The young man asks Kaede if she can wait for him, no matter how long it takes. Kaede agrees, determined to do her best. She reminds him that they should sometimes relax and enjoy their high school years, acknowledging the importance of the present moment. The girl reflects on their past, realizing they drifted apart due to her intense focus on the future. She admits they could have enjoyed the moment more, expressing regret for their lost connection. Kaede-san, hearing her thoughts, looks up with a mix of sadness. The girl and the young man sit together, their hands touching, as they discuss their past mistakes. The girl speaks, her voice filled with remorse, while the young man listens intently. Kaede-san's name echoes in the air, a reminder of their shared journey and the need. The girl confesses, "We were trying too hard." She and the young man relax under the starry sky. The young man agrees, "Let's take it easy every once in a while," his voice filled with calm. They find solace in each other's company, acknowledging the need for a break. The girl giggles. "I'm on cloud 9, her eyes sparkling with joy." Yuya-kun responds, "Yeah, so am I, Kaede-san," his heart swelling with happiness. They share a tender moment, embracing each other under the night sky. The girl exclaims, "It feels so good," her body relaxing into the warmth. Suddenly, she notices Yuya-kun's blush and teases, "Why are you blushing?" Yuya-kun stammers, I'm not." As the girl playfully, the young man splashes water, shouting, "I can't think," as he tries to regain his composure. The girl calls out, "Yuya-kun," in concern. The young man, flustered, admits, "I want to counterattack as always, but because I'm soaking in the onsen." The girl teases Yuya-kun, accusing him of liking a peek at her cleavage. Yuya-kun feels certain about something from an earlier onsen visit, but the girl's playful taunt leaves him stunned and speechless. Kaede-san mischievously teases, opening her robe just enough to tantalize but not reveal. The young man pleads with her to stop, but Kaede-san's playful smirk and the sound of fabric shifting only heighten the tension between them. The girl stands in her school uniform, holding a phone, as she declares that a new chapter of their school lives will begin. Her expression is serious, yet there's a hint of excitement as she looks forward to the changes ahead. The girl suggests spending more time alone together before the new chapter starts. The young man sits beside her, both of them kneeling on the floor, as the girl's words hint at deeper feelings and a desire for intimacy before their lives take